Good morning, everybody. So to start the morning, we do see a lot of gaps this morning in the market. So we will be taking a look at the 9 a.m. gap list, see what we've got there. If we go to SPY to start the day, we saw this yesterday in SPY. Nice big broadening formation. So if we draw that out right to left, you see price right now is gapping into a previous range, which matters because, if it's above its daily open today, potentially they're back through this, right? Up into yesterday's highs and then back at all-time highs. But if it gaps up and they start selling it off, it could take yesterday's lows and then we'd see our daily reversal. So for now, they're opening, stronger, and we'd prefer try and come back through these guys to the upside, but we will be opening right in the middle. So you can see this on the 60, right in the middle of this range. Qs, it's gonna be similar, except it's gonna be a lot closer to getting above all these guys this morning. You'll see the daily, it's right in the middle. IWM was already going up yesterday, so they're still fine. And Dow Jones was already going up yesterday, so they're also still fine there. So this morning, it looks like everything will open as 2260 on the futures / indexes. One sec here. All right. So while the whole market gaps up, let's take a look first at those guys that are opening lower. And actually, your guys are going to have to give me 1 second. I'll be right back in a minute or two. All right, team. Sorry about that. But let's get back to the gappers and what we we're doing before. So on the gaps down, we see a lot of utilities opening lower. So things like VST, you'll see kicking pattern to the downside, which comes back into last week's outside week. So a little weaker there. While the whole market gaps up, these gap down, which are causing issues for anyone that bought yesterday. Because imagine you bought at 180 and it's opening at 170. You might want to get out of that, right? CEG, you see it's also gapping down a little closer to taking last week's lows, which would be weaker. It's already taken its monthly magnitude, so maybe they re-trigger the quarter, but we'll have to see. So we go to XLU, you'll see it opens as, 2-day down. Now the whole market has been relatively firm, so we'll have to see if they forgive those utilities for dropping in to the broadening formation, or if they're just done with them. Let's see. So gappers down. QXO, BST, XLU. We're going to throw ALB on the list so you can see it gapping down slightly, still 2 up across all time frames, but it will be just below its weekly open. Tech, you see, is also gapping down as a slight kicking pattern. That's about all we see on the gap downs. On the gap ups, ASTS, we will see just gapping up right into the highs, all-time highs, more specifically. Myrna. So Myrna, you can see this quarter has been coming back a little bit. Good morning, Chuck. As a 3-2 quarter to the upside, 2 up month. It's already taken all nearby pivots on the month, but it's 2-2 day. It's going to be opening pretty much right at it. Let's see if there's anything better. MU. So MU, kicking variation, where these shorts might have some trouble at the open with the semiconductors all gapping up. So it's definitely something we could be looking at. Overall this morning, I would say mostly you can see like your tech / semis, like WDC is just gapping right up into the highs. MU will be gapping up right into the highs. AMD's gonna be gapping up slightly as well. Nvidia's gonna be opening up towards those morning high or yesterday's morning highs as well. So most of these, there's nothing do right at the open, but we will see on the gap list, so just the gaps up, what they want to do as the rest of the day unfolds. So we're gonna look for those inside 60s, those rep strats, those 2-2 reversals. And we'll keep them on the list and see what we can get the rest of the day. All right. Now, as far as daily sit-ups are concerned, we got about 8 minutes, so I'm going to try not to waste any time. MP Materials, 3-1 day. So the 3-1 day, you can see top of its weekly broadening formation at this point, still inside quarter, inside year. It is a 2 up on the month, so we've got that. But we'll see which side of this we take out first. Unity. You're going to see the big old daily broadening formation here, big 3 on the week. Still inside year, quarter, slight 2 on the month, and doji, so not as big of movement there. But we'll see what comes of it. VLO and the energies inside day. And you can see if they were to break them down, this would be Pivot Machine Gun. So it'd be a really good Lotto Friday name if we can take all this stuff out. But it's inside week as well. So this inside day, we'll have to see if they even break them in the energies. XLE, you see, is also inside. Or else they'll be double inside. App inside day, so you can see it's one of the weaker names inside, and it's really not recovering as much with the rest of the market this morning. So if the market were to gap up and start giving some of that back, app would be the place to be. And then some of the weaker names, quantum names, QUBT, QBTS, RGTI, IonQ. So you can see QUBT closer, taking yesterday's lows this morning still. RGTI, same thing. IonQ, you can see very similar. QBTS, you see similar, closer, taking yesterday's lows. So we can look at those as weaker names this morning. All right. Silver, let's take a look. Silver gap down by kind of like yesterday. Yeah, well, you just gotta be, careful of that. See the daily. So while the whole market gaps up, silver gaps down. That's normally not a good sign. Doesn't mean it has to puke, but relative to the rest of the market, that has to be weaker. So you just gotta be careful when you're playing that weakness, because they can start unfolding stuff really quick when people are losing trades. So we will see. Now, for those of you guys that are in the YouTube chat and whatnot, spying the Qs, we already did that. Sorry about that. You're late, but you're opening pretty much right in the middle, still in the middle of last week's range, or at least, I guess we're closer to the highs of it, but right in the middle of yesterday's range. Every index will open as a 2-2 reversal, 60 to the upside. So you can see SPY, Qs will have the 2-2 this morning. It's going to be stronger than tech. Dow may have that. And IWM may or may not have that. It's opening inside day, inside 60. Good morning, Sarah. And before I forget, make sure we got our list over here. Right. Let's see. Not a kicker. Why does everyone think like this is half the body is a wick? Now, is there shorts there? Yes. And those shorts are opening at a loss, but it's not a kicker. Still inside year, month, quarter or actually no, the month is inside up. So yeah, you'll have this, the 222 day. It's already almost at its magnitude though. Semi-kicker. Kicking variation is what we can call it. And since I know we have some futures guys, right? Let's take a look at the futures. So we always want to identify the broadening formation we're working with so we can gauge magnitude and range expansion when it kicks in. This is what you got. So inside 60 firms things up. It already hit its 60 magnitude, but we have some of this stuff to take out up here. We go to a 4 hour. Let's see, 4 hour inside and green. So anyone that was short the previous 4 hours, losing position. There's that inside 60 starting to kick in a little. So someone just posted, I don't remember what it was called. Anyone know what the place was called? The end of Forrest Gump. Odd question. But we do have a few minutes here until we open up. I don't remember. UNH is dojis. Doji month, doji month, doji month, doji month, right? It's like destroyed, 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 destroyed. Inside year, mother bar, destroyed. Right? Now, if they're going to get anything happening this quarterly, you got to take out either side of that. Bubba Gump Shrimp, yes. I went to one of the, or actually, let me think. I didn't go eat at one, but I did go and see one the other day, a couple weeks ago. Greenbow, Alabama. All right, we got just under a minute. We'll be opening up here, literally and figuratively. So you see SPY opens at its magnitude on the 60 and then goes slightly red. So gaps up, some slight selling to start. However, we're nowhere near outside 60s down, so we prefer the upside. The question is timing that entry, because we'd like to get a reversal into that. The reversal occurred right at the gap up on the 60 minute. So look at SPY, right? Dead in the middle on the day. So if this day's green, it's trying to become a 2. You can see they flipped red to slightly green. It's trying to become a 2, but it is presently 1. VST kicking day in force with 2 targets to get after on the downside. I'm not sure about those option spreads. You see utilities could go green to red this morning on the day, which would again cause some issues there. Sarah's watching PayPal, just triggered 322 day down PayPal. Uraniums are all confirming yesterday's 3-2 days for those in stat, with inside 312 4 hours up in uraniums, confirming the month inside up, confirming anytime you're above $42 in URA, It's going to go to 130. So it's a good thing to know about. URA, anytime above $42, we're looking for all-time highs. There's also NLR, which is nuclear reactor ETF, and it's already at all-time highs. Although today it's not quite as strong. You can see MU this morning with the kicking variation. Any of these sellers in here, right there, they're getting out anytime it's green. So they're up already 2% on the day. Now it is all-time highs, so once those sellers are out, those are the last sellers that were short. STX on the gap up. It's going to be closer to 2-2 down on the gap up STX. It's coming back into a mother bar. 3 minutes, 2-2 down to start. VST, you can see on the kicking pattern in utilities, target 1, target 2 reached instantly, which is what kickers are supposed to do. And now we don't know because this is going to be daily short-term exhaustion. Already took out all these guys now. You see, so far on SPY, the day is green. So anyone that shorted yesterday, they're in trouble because the market's not going down right now. So you see Qs, we had some very slight corrective activity taking the morning lows. Is that going to be enough to become a 2 on the day to the upside? Maybe. IWM takes the day down. IWM, or actually, forgive me now, takes the 4-hour down. So an inside 4-hour down. Now we'd prefer the upside since it's been stronger, but it opens the market weaker today. Inside 4-hour down. YouTube link. There you go. ALB on the gap down, they're having some issues. They did change the weekly continuity, so 2 going 3 now on the downside. They don't have a lot of week left. We also see tech in here, kicking pattern tech, and like we said here, tech kicker with the VST XLU kicker. So that's also kicking in with some of those utilities. Here's your XLU, like we said. If that goes green to red, that's something you'd like to know, because if this is a red day, it's got to stay that way. But if it is red, we are coming back through all of this. And you obviously already have VST in there. A little weaker, but we'll have to see. Industrials are still jamming the highs. Defense sector still jamming the highs. It was on our yesterday vid for the 2-2 day into continuity. It's up 5%. We got Lockheed Martin still jamming the highs. NOC still jamming into the highs. All the defense sectors, RTX jamming to the highs, and so on. So those are some of the stronger ones we see this morning. Healthcare is not so much. So we're going to see healthcare's this morning. They went 60s down and they're bringing them back down. Still inside week, setting up for next week. Staples a little weaker today, closer to the daily reversal. Be the first reversal in Staples with the utilities since down in here. The outside bar reversal at 77. Then the 2-2 reversal 5% higher. And that's how we would time an exit if we played off of there. Or time a reduction. PayPal still working on its daily magnitude. Inside 4 minutes, 312 breaking now. But you'll see still below yesterday's lows while the market's a little stronger, so PayPal's weaker. And Sarah's looking at the monthly breaking down just now on AI. Inside month shooter triggered by RevStrat week, caused by RevStrat day into RevStrat week. So she had 1, 2, 3 signals she's playing with, which is pretty nice. This is for yesterday. How's this for yesterday's stream? All good. SPY still inside day. Q's still inside day. IWM inside day, but red with the 4-hour down. So there have been some issues there. So the defense sector, they lead the market, at least this morning. But see, materials are 2 down on the day. Home builders, they go up, but then come back in. So you're going to see potentially they stop some of these guys out. But take a look at our sectors by stat and see. So you can see the start of the day, definitely more bearish bias breaking down. Financials and industrials leading, and industrials is your defense sector. But you can see the majority of the market opens as scenario 1. So this is an issue. Because how are you going to change this? So you have these buyers on the monthly and the weekly, but the daily's inside. So, they could still be buying today on the inside days. But right now, if we look, we got 60-minute selling going on in all these guys. All these guys. So stronger markets would be financials, tech, energies according to the 60, which even then they're all inside. So that is not going to make it easier for today. If we look at US 500, it ticks up on the 60-minute inside bar up, but then it starts coming back in to this inside bar on the 60. So now potential rev strat back down. So we're going to see this consolidation that's going on in here. So this stuff, which is that inside day on the current SPY, right, in Qs. So you can see SPY, they gap it up. And they go inside on the 5, and then they're bringing them back down, changing the day again back to doji and red. ALB on the gap down goes 225ers back up. ALB on the gap down. Palantir, let's see. Palantir, yep, rev stratting the day. So it goes inside day up and then red at 179.39. And instantly you can see that 5ers bringing them for the outside day. Now let's see though. Look at this mess. So it is a mess. We would have a slightly bigger target, but it is a little bit of a mess in there. Inside week, inside month, inside quarter. Now the rev strat could change that, which is why the rev strat happens. This is still consolidating on a bigger time frame. So they're trying to get that 313 of all of that. Dow Jones taking the morning lows out, so they're having issues this morning. Broadening expansion if they were to get out of that right here. See, on a 15-minute basis, they go up and then 3 to the downside. This is the gigantic broadening formation on a 15 basis that we see. Palantir is getting closer to that outside day. You'll see SPY after the 5ers down, low of day, but still inside day. So this could reclaim right here these morning lows and just go right back to the morning highs because it's still consolidating on a daily basis. Just gotta be careful of those broadening formations kicking in the other way. Second 15 of the day, Palantir, we'd want to see it below 177.36 if that seller's still here. Utilities, second 15 of the day, they firm up going inside. VST goes 2-2 15-minute hammer utilities. It's got a lot of gap it's going to have to come back through, though, so it's going to be maybe a little trickier, but we did stop some guys out and then start coming back the other way from exhaustion risk. VST, the hammer, 2 down, 2 up, 15 minutes. See, right? See, and kicking variation. So they opened a little bit lower and it was nice. They retraced first, which is important because it allows you to time that inside 1 minute to cause all that. So not bad there. Whoa, just happened. What? Table view? How do I get out of this? You guys ever seen a table view on TradingView? I have not. All right, we're out of it. Good. Palantir is back to the 15s down, trying to rev strat the day still. W day completely destroyed this week with 1, 2, 3, 4 actionable signals this week. It was amazing. Palantir coming to low a day. Dow Jones, after its outside 15, firmed up, and you can see SPY reclaims the morning lows, ticks up a little bit, and then comes back in. So this is the trickier part with these inside days, is they're going to test both sides of the range today over and over, unless we become a 2, which means they're going to test the lows, they're going to test, slight lower highs, and then they'll test the lows, and then the highs. They're just going to keep, repeating that. Here's Palantir 15er, boom, right here into your target, which is outside day Palantir. And now we're not too certain, because once a 3, it's a 3. So you got to stay below yesterday's lows in Palantir. They're going to keep a puking. IWM 3-2 reversal 15 just now. IWM with full time frame continuity. Anytime they are above 266.09 in IWM. Palantir getting destroyed below yesterday's lows. Off the 2215, down they go. 0.63%. We'll see under 176.53, 173.95, 171.79 would be the 2 ideal targets. And we can see SPY. Notice, right? The 1 minute down, then back up, now coming back down. Retesting, you can see the previous morning low, but inside 15. Palantir goes inside 5 minutes, so they firm up slightly after yesterday's lows. And we do get the new 30s opening shortly. Since we cannot scan the 15ers, we're not going to have any rev strats that we can look at right away. But, or inside bars, I mean. But, where is my scanner? Here it is. So you can see Palantir after outside day, they are profit taking, inside bar firming up slightly. But let's go and take a look here. So the 3s on the 30, they would show, the most aggression this morning. And we can filter those by their monthly continuity. So MP this morning, outside 30 hammer to time a rev strat day with 313 to the upside. And it looks like the 3-2-15er is already going to break that. So MP, anytime above 68.48, it is a signal enforced to 70.07. MP, 68.48. You'd have the rev strat 313. Goldman Sachs, after a big rally yesterday, you got outside bar shooter this morning, which makes sense why Dow Jones came back down. Palantir, almost low a day again after flipping back to red on the fivers. Yeah, IWM, the 3-2 reversal 15. They're still there. They just haven't gone anywhere yet. And 3-2s are supposed to go instantly. So right now it's suffered about 14 cents of drawdown. Any more than that, and it's not working. There's low day again, Palantir for the rev strat, 313 to the downside. App with the measured move on the inside day list here, our actionable signal list app right there, 212 to the downside. You see causes outside week to cause monthly reversal, the 1222 to the downside. That's a problem, which might cause inside quarter down. So app, this daily signal, very relevant. Buying cues, like we said, right? Testing the highs, in this case, slightly lower highs, and then testing the lows again. So still inside day, but it's looking a little worse now. You got 15ers down. Second 30s of the day, you'll have the 22230 SPY. So it's going to be the trigger below the morning low, wherever that ends up being. About 5 minutes, but it's gap up sell to SPY, the cues, the Dow Jones destroyed, right? And like we said, here's your broadening formation on the 15 right there, 3 1, and then it becomes a 2 right there, and it goes instantly is always the goal. But what this means is IWM, right, still more firm than the rest, so we can't say it's going down at this point, but it's not expanding those highs like we'd prefer to see. So IWM, didn't work, right? It should have just gone instantly. Now it's rejecting the top of a 3, which is a broadening formation, albeit slightly, but it's just supposed to break and go if we're playing 3-2. Palantir, they're still at the lows. And we'll have those new 30s opening shortly. Palantir still more lows, and notice your 15er almost down 1% now. So 2215 gets you 1%. That's pretty good. And we're not even at the targets yet. We still got 173.95, 171.79 to be taken out for the rev strat. Destruction. So we see SPY, Qs, Dow, all at low of day, besides IWM. So IWM still the strongest one. Palantir, you can see this momentum fiver. They're just down they go. Just under 100% return for me. Playing that potential rev strat day, adding on the 15er to the downside. Good mention in the chat. I forget who mentioned it here. Palantir B99, very good. And one thing we've been teaching about is the rev strat. A lot of what we've been talking about is the rev strat. So let's see, Citigroup. Yep. The second, and this is the thing with rev strats, the earlier you get it, the less risk you have of, if you're wrong. So in this case, right, the second that goes red, 117.82, it would look like this. Because at the point of this going red, anyone that bought in the morning session in Citigroup, they got to get out. So these guys, they all bought, they got to get out if we're below any of this stuff, which might cause, you know, completely take the other side of the range out. Kind of like Palantir. Boom. Ticks up, flips red here. They all got to get out. And then they get destroyed. 110%. Unity, same thing. So shooter 30 Unity. So Unity, you'll have the 30 shooter to cause rev strat day. It's good for small account guys. VLO, we'll have 322 15 minute to cause rev strat day up. Still inside week, mother bar problems day. So not as good just because it's still stuck a bit on the inside week, but it has, you know, $1 or something of magnitude. So you can go after that. MP still has not triggered its rev strat. You can see these inside 4 hours from the uraniums. Look at these guys at the inside 4 hour list. It's uranium right here. Boom. Right. So CCJ's leading in here. UEC. Boom. Right. Nice 312 you got there. You see Oklo, potential 3 days. So hammer 30 Oklo. We like that. Outside hammer 30. The outside bar shows aggression, scenario 3. The hammer shows we've trapped short participants. And then the day shows us we can gauge the magnitude of that, another 5% higher. It's still inside week. And you might say, Alex, it's inside week. Why would you trade? Because we can expect it to reverse. So it made new lows to the inside week. It didn't go anywhere. We can expect that to try and come the other way. We'll see that 15.32 with IWM would have been preferred, but did not get it. Palantir, just about $1,000 on Palantir this morning. Destroyed. The rev strat. Destroyed. And if you don't think you can make money trading the strat, you can. Here it is. And I just filled all my contracts out, Palantir, for just barely under 200% return. So not too shabby, guys. 1-3. Boom. There's your rev strat. And notice, this is why it's key to understand all the universal truths. In order for a 3 to happen, it had to be 2 first. So it became 2 on the 15. And then it became reversal 15 here to cause the rev strat. The 5 minute became 2 here and then 1. And then 2 reversal to cause that. 313. So not too shabby. Citigroup, yeah, it's still red on the day, so you got that, but it's going to have to go 30 shooter down, right? It needs to be in force. So you could move your level of defense down towards that open of that 30, because there's no reason, you know, if you're short this, there's no reason to go like this and have this gigantic stop. Either that shooter is correct or it's not. So right now it is not correct. SPY 30's down. SPY to cause the day. Qs to cause the day. That's something we want to know about. SPY and Qs to cause the day down. Qs specifically should be weaker. And this tells us Palantir, you know, may just keep going off 3-230s. So what I can do is take some of the profit and go into further dated puts or further out of the money puts, like a 170 put. I wanted to risk some of their money. For now, it's inside, but SPY and Qs break lower on the 30s. Dow Jones, the 3-230. Notice your triangle expansion here at 493.79. Still true for the outside day. And IWM, like we said, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And this is the key thing to understand with the broadening formations. It goes up, doesn't go anywhere. Where's it going to go? The next move would be down, right? And now we're right in the middle still. IWM is still not taking morning lows, so it's technically more strong. See what Ripple's doing. So 12-hour inside down. So you can see 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. So what is next, XRP? And I really need to change this. So Palantir, another inside fiver. SPY, you can see they did take the 30s down, but still inside day. So they tick down, but they flip green. So now a seller in the morning is being countered, potential 3 back to morning highs. So for now, inside day, it's just going to be more tricky as we get those bigger time frame 2s. So they're still 2 down. They're not anywhere near changing this daily open yet. But you'll see this on the 5-minute, right? If that kicks into the upside, that'd be trying to counter this daily group, at least in the direction of, the slight green that we see on the bigger time frames. So we have slight preference to the upside here just because of that. Q's, just a little bit weaker still. Dow, similar. IWM firms up. So you'll see they tick down. They went 3 on the 5-minute, which gives you the 10-minute rev strat that's trying to kick in. Inside 10-minute goes down, and then it's green here. So if this kicks in above this, 266.19, then you get IWM rev strat 10er into the 3-2 reversal 30-minute. Palantir, since this is a 3 on the 30-minute, it shows aggression, which also means anytime this is green above 174.31, we have to play defense. So if you didn't get out or whatever you're doing, you got to play defense against that. 174.33. And if not, break even. IWM, 3-2 reversal to the upside, IWM. Defense sector, closer to the inside 15 up. NOC has it. RTX would be 2-2. Lockheed Martin is inside. GD, let's see. Got some broadening formation on the 15 and GD here. So a 15-minute hammer setting up potentially. SPY, again, here's your fiver. Boom. Right? And we said if that kicks in above that, you're 30, 2 going 3. It could take the morning highs out because we know 3s happen. So we'll see. Q's also firmed up. Dow firmed up. So simultaneous fivers changing the 30 groups. And then IWM, as we knew, stronger. Up they go. And here's your tenor break. 266.19. So it's just got to stay up there if we're going to see them keep moving. It is the only one. Utilities, they're still coming back a little, firming up on the gap down. Energy is still a whole lot of nothing. Staples, 2 day to the downside, still problems in staples. Anyone buying them from yesterday, they got in trouble. Chasing too hard. ASTS on the gap list. And some slight corrective activity fiver here, and then $20, 20%. Or actually just under 8%, right? And then another corrective activity, and then it rallies another 5% back to the morning highs. So what we're looking for is this. Let's stop some guys out and see if they still want to keep buying ASTS. Something like this. XOM is close to the inside day up. So inside day, XOM, 3-2 hammer week. Inside 3-1-2 year expansion of the yearly broadening formation, which makes this inside day much more relevant. Because, right, that could cause the expansion to get moving. Now, let's see. We're going to have to wait and see if they stop some guys out to trigger that. So ASTS is the biggest mover on the day. Rocket Lab is up there as well with an inside 30 they're cooking up. SMCI, interesting. So finally coming back a little bit. Look at this. Change in the year, the quarter, the month continuity, SMCI. If you've been waiting to buy it, I personally have. I think you've got some room there, right? You got 90% of room. So that's relevant for next week with the 3 down in here. It's also relevant today as it's green on the day by a large margin. So we're going to draw out our support and resistance, and we'll see what they set up next with our signals from there. IREN also up at the top of the list, leading the market today. Figure, FIGR, at the top of the list today as well. INOD in technologies. And you can see this is why it's important to understand inside bar. That week was bright red, but it was still inside. So this 60 in INOD, right here, it reversed at right around 59.13 was that continuity level. They rally 6%, coming back through all of these guys that were short. We do have another rev strat in here, VKTX, potential 1-3 day up. We do not have full time frame continuity, but they would set up next month, you know, maybe a rev strat in there. Same with SysQ, setting up the rev strat for next month. Cogent Biosciences, 2 going 3 months to the upside. Every time frame is green. They still have, you know, about 6.88% of magnitude. So just looking for corrective activity there. Look at this 5 minute. 1, 2, 2. There's a rev strat this morning. Got about 20 minutes to the new flip. SPY. You'll see the 5 minute still considered good. It has 5 minute magnitude here at 692.87 after our bottom call. At least to try and time that morning range. Still inside day, so it's just going to be harder. But 15ers close in 3 minutes, then SPY will have a 15er that needs to kick in, or else, you know, it's back to chopping them up inside day. Qs, not so much. You know, didn't really recover much. IWM, off the 10 minute rev strat, you'll see it broke here, no drawdown, up they go to here, still inside day. But they went 3-2 continuation, so that stays good with a break even. It's like defense sector made the morning highs. So NOC triggered its 15ers. There's a lot of names in the defense sector I'm not the most familiar with. I think HII might be one of them, but let's go here. Palantir, down they go, finishing off the RevStrat magnitude, which is closer now to taking last week's lows. So here it is, the 1-3. So Oklo on the outside hammer 30 that we mentioned here, that is extremely relevant. Up they go. There's your 2.5%er. And the reason that, again, it's relevant is because inside week, right? We can expect slight lower low and then go back the other way during higher time frame with scenario 1. And the daily is a 3. So again, like we understood, we can expect daily outside bar if we are correct in what we're identifying here. And what we're identifying is a daily and 60 and 30-minute buyer countering whoever was selling this week. So anyone selling this week, they got in trouble. Someone else wanted to buy. Uranium's still going to the highs off the inside 4-hour list. UEC, CCJ, they're all just gone. MP did trigger yesterday's highs, but it's got to be above that, 68.48. Because if we're above that, buyers are taking the offer, which is what we want to identify. Myrna had a pretty nice one this morning, not bad. VST, they're coming back down, so no recovery there for us. TAC, still kicking pattern in force. TAC, taking the morning lows. That's no good. SPY closes inside 5-minute. Q's made another low day. IWM is going to be coming back to the morning high, so did not see expansion of that 3 like we wanted to. If we're going to see that IWM go back to the morning, or back to yesterday's highs more specifically. So I'm just going to mark this out. This is the 3. So if we reclaim that here, that is issues for IWM again. They might try and take fully the other side. Because we're still inside day, that's the risk we're running every time we're playing it. So they reclaim, could fully test the other side of that. Costco, we might get the 32230 cooking up. So Qs, they're still red, still 2230 down in Qs, and technically SPY is 22 down, it's just not in force. IWM, so you can see they test the previous highs, but they're not below them at this point, so they're still staying out of that morning range. So we go to the 30. That condition is still 3-2 reversal 30. So as we get to the next 60s, second 60 of the day, SPY 2260 to cause daily reversal with the Qs. Dow is a 3 and IWM is a 3 to the upside. So, a little bit lackluster this morning, some up, some down. So this could be pretty serious. Right? We got 10 minutes here until the 60s open up. But why would that be relevant? The weekly open is at 690, 68. So if this goes 2260 or even we go 3260 because SPY, look at this. Did it re-break a 30 signal? It did. So anytime it's below that, it still matters. Right? Below here should be 691.93. But if we break the day down, potentially 2 down, 2 up, 2 down day, we'd go all the way down here as momentum. So we trigger the day, change the week to red, and at that point, we have no evidence of these yearly, monthly, quarterly buyers, which is why that weekly open matters. For now, since we're above that weekly open, the weekly buyer is still present as far as we understand, but we're inside day, so we need to become a 2. Like Qs just became 2 down on the day. So we can mark this out here, 620. Yeah, so it looks like false print, at least according to the 60. So false daily print. Trimming riot calls, still good. You will have the 60s change in 10 minutes, but monthly still good with the 3 in force, which is even better. You got that expansion already kicking in. Week still good. Day is still good. You got 5 hours left on the day at least and the week. At least 10 minutes left on the 60. Looks like real estates are coming back a little bit better than others today. Industrials still sitting pretty, with defense still sitting at the highs. This is going to be an interesting second 60 flip for the daily guys. And this will be, closing out the second 30s of the day. Let's see what we got. VSAT, potentially 22230s back up. Energies will have the outside 60 showing aggression with utilities. Hammer 60. XOP, maybe a RevStrat 60. So we'll see if the energies wake up at all. US Food Corp, USFD 22230 setting up. On the gappers, VST inside 30, utilities with utilities hammer. So we got some stuff to discuss. VST gappers inside 30 plus XLU 2 down 2 up 60. Gives us QXO inside 30 gaps. So you'll see QXO inside 30 there as well, but utilities, right? To the highs, VST setting inside 30 up. ALB 2 down in green 30. We go to tech. Tech is getting destroyed. Rocket Lab is inside 30 gappers. And then Myrna, you'll have inside 15 gappers. It's like some uraniums giving some gains back. We got a few minutes. As we get closer, SPY is, setting up 2 down in green. We have 5 minutes left. I'll be back in just a few, and then we'll see what the flip has for us. And the flip is called the flip because things might flip and change what they're doing. All right, we're back. We got a few minutes left to go. SPY will be closer to 60s down. Looks like we'll get an inside fiver on the flip. Dow Jones would be closer to 322 up, and then IWM would be closer to 322 down, 30s. COP. Yep, you got the 1 day. Sorry about that, but you got the 1 inside day and then maybe a 2260 in the energies COP, but XLE, you're going to see that. XOP is still inside. OIH, it is a 2, but it's nowhere near recovering that 60 minute. So you got some work to do. Here's inside fiver on the 60 flip SPY. So either this goes inside down into the 60 and the day, or it does not. Qs would be technically the weaker of the bunch. So if you're going to be going for weakness, anytime that's below yesterday's lows, get Qs. If it's not below yesterday's lows, then it's a nothing. That's what we would say. And you'll see how Qs does not have a signal here on the 5 minute. Technically, it's a 2260 minute into the 22 day. But right into the lows. So the question is that seller still in tech? See if it can take out those morning lows again and keep going on your kicking pattern. MU inside 30s closer to reversing after gapping up. I should not be muted, no. IWM has 15 are trying to trigger the 30s down, which confirms the downside on indexes. See, look what these futures look like. So you see the US 500, like we said, right? Inside 60 minute ticks up. And then anytime that's coming back in, we are at risk of rev strat. And then boom, the reclaim of that moves a lot further. It went up 6 points, down 20 points. And you'll see if you shorted it anywhere in here to cause that, the 3-2 add right there is how we'd add to it. And what we're trying to do is take out the consolidation right now. We'll see all of this action was stuck inside to here. And if we look even further left, all of this action here stuck inside from this high to this low as an inside day. So can we get out of that is the question. IWM, nice 322 you got there. Now it's still inside day, so it's not, the best one to be shorting, but there's a 322. SPY and Qs. SPY takes yesterday's lows on your 2260 with your momentum shooter 30 down. So down they go. So you got 2-2-day SPY and Qs simultaneously. And why does that matter? Because the more that break in the same direction at the same time, the more evidence we have. So we like to see things go together. CNCQs, 2-2-day magnitude, once again, down here. And if you recall yesterday, we already discussed this. Gap up sell, so that triggers it. SPY, 2-2-day, anytime it's below that. It has to be below, right? 691.25. If you are not below that, you are reclaiming, and you could become a 3 to the upside, since we know that happens. So we want to see them stay down there. The Dow Jones shooter, 3-2-60 to cause outside day, change the week, and then the 3-2-2 IWM. Down they go. Let's see if they're still doing what they did yesterday, rotating into staples utilities while the market goes down, and they're not. So are they rotating anywhere? Materials takes the morning lows. Industrials takes the morning lows. Semis doesn't, or energies does not take the morning lows. Besides, I guess XOP is pretty close. OIH does take the morning lows. So some of the energies are weak. So right now, I don't know if we have anything going up. Let's check our sector stats. Yeah, so very few. Slight majority industrials, but 20% downtrends, 40% uptrends are countering most of that. So at this point, right, that's at least a little bit of a problem. Now on a 60 basis, we just opened the 60s. You can see real estates, they went and bought those to start with some utilities, some financials, but the majority is definitely selling on the downside, right? Now that can change, but simultaneous 60 and simultaneous day. How long does that last? Well, the simultaneous 60 lasts another 53 minutes. So we're not closing this out for another 53 minutes if this is true. The other thing is the daily lasts all day. That's another 5 hours. So as long as that 60 is confirming the day, we're good, at least for 50 minutes. And then we'll have to see what the next 60 is. And you can see where this triangle is, or this higher time from inside bar on the futures is. We'd like to stay out of this broadening formation. It might bounce around a little bit at this low, but we don't want to see them come back into this. If they do, then that could be reclaiming all of this back to these highs. We want to see them stay down. And this shows you Palantir still going. So you'll have maybe an inside 15 or Palantir. For now, it's still inside 60. That's below all targets. X just went down as I was listening to Trump. So X went down. Interesting. Ain't down for me. Yeah. I mean, there is one thing not loading, so I'm not certain. Oh, the homepage, the For You page might not be loading. Nope, it is. Puke, baby, puke. Keep her moving. Like we say, if it's going to work, right, if that Q's is going to its magnitude, it should not come back to the break. At least should be very sparingly. Like we're never, this is the thing. Unlike most traders, we're never going like this, right? Or at least we should not be doing that. Because the signal is the signal, right? All of this stuff up here, none of this stuff, if we trade through this, is bearish. What's bearish is, are we below that? Right? So there's no reason to go crazy. Now, you may get stopped out, yeah, but you're gonna, right? Either you're gonna get stopped out for $6 loss, or you're gonna get stopped out for 10 cents, 20 cents. We prefer the 20 cents. You lose less. I will let you battle for that level. Fair enough. Well, I mean, the battle's on. Look at this. So we look at SPY. This 3, we can think of it kind of like a battleground, right? And then each one of these colors, and this is something I was trying to work on AI the other day to generate. Let's see if I can find it. But each one of these colors is kind of like a team. So you got the buyer team, you got the seller team. Right now, the buyer team has the year, the quarter, the month, although that's very little, right? Very slightly green. The seller team, they've got the week, the day, the 60 minutes. So they have control right now, today, and this week. They're more aggressive. They don't have control, but they're more aggressive. Now they do have control right now as we are a 2-2 day in force. So it's trying to go down there. The 60 minute is a 2-2-60 in force. So it's trying to go to the daily, is what we'd say. And we have 3 of the 6 major time frames we're looking at here agreeing with or in our favor. So you can kind of think like when we're looking at continuity, what's happening is these sellers. So this seller here on the daily, they're the same seller that's coming in and they're smacking the quarterly guys. They're like attacking, right? And that daily seller is also attacking those yearly guys, also attacking those monthly guys. So this daily seller is countering all that. This weekly seller is also, right, countering the yearly guys and the quarterly guys and the monthly guys. Then anytime the 60 is red, this 60 guy is also countering the monthly, countering the quarter, countering the year. So we call this conflict, right? They're kind of, it's like they're shooting bullets at each other. But look at this. Is that simultaneous break SPY? Yep. What's your risk? 24 cents? Yep. Down they go. Puke, baby, puke. Keep going. So if you're playing today's expiration, once you hit 100%, you can always reduce half and then get out, or hold or add to it or do whatever you want. I am using not today's, at least for this trade. On the Palantir trade, I use today's expiration, but you'll see everything down. 322, fun to say, fun to do. IWM takes the morning lows, and then we'll have to see, right? Still inside day IWM. So you're nowhere near 2 down day at this point. You're closer to it, but you've got to break that. Dow Jones, you'll see outside day coming up hot right here, 492.21. And then SPY and Q is already weaker. We already knew that. So what I want you to see is, what does this look like? I should have been watching it more closely for you guys so you can see this. Well, what does this look like on a sector 60-minute basis? Boom, right? Look, notice they're rotating into utilities. So it's not like everything's going down. They're buying utilities, they're buying some real estates, but the majority of trends are down, which means the majority of twos are down. At this point on a 60-minute basis, we still have, 60% of the market inside. So this sell could get a lot worse as long as it stays down there. Now, if it doesn't get a lot worse, what that means is 60% of the market did not go down. 80% of energies, 80% of staples, 80% of healthcares did not go down. 70% of industrials, 70% of real estates, 60% of tech did not go down when the market puked, which matters because if you have strength, it's a lot easier to reverse this to the upside versus if we saw 90% of the market twos down and we're crashing, right? So the condition is not market crash. There's still some rotation here, but we would just say the most twos are down at this moment. So that's a good thing. Can it stay that way though? And if not, and we were to change this, let's say we hammer 30 or something and they change it, the broadening formation on Qs on the 30-minute basis looks like this. So that's why we want to see things stay down, because if they don't, we know support's broadening and they can completely just counter guys. So we want to see them just stay. They're going to puke. And that's why it's great when you're playing 0 DTE. We expect things to go right away. So it's like it breaks, maybe you get 40% or something here, reduce some of that. If it comes back, so be it. You already took some money out of the market. If it doesn't, you're in, and you can even add to it once we get some green fivers. So maybe an inside fiver here, we could add and go like this. A nice tight stop. If this goes like inside bar down. Now we have 4 minutes, so it's, if it's going down, it's probably just going to take it down, but we'll see. That's how we want to think though. So you can see like right now, industrials, while the market's hitting the lows, this could become RevStrat 15 pivot machine gun above here. It's 16646. So industrial's a little stronger. Defense sector, RevStrat 15 while the market's down. So you can see it's a lot easier to reverse the market when you have things that are reversing, right? Or things that are not going down. So RTX, it's a RevStrat, not the biggest mover. NOC, there's your RevStrat 15. It has mother bar problems, so be careful. General Dynamics, here's your RevStrat 15. So you can see simultaneous 15 RevStrat in defense sector. So you could be watching that on the upside as well. Staples firmed up as a 2-2-30 minute. So you'll see Staples slight lower low goes inside 60, but this 30-minute times the bottom of it right there, 81.92. So Staples firms up. Might tell you things like Costco on the 15 RevStrat. I'm watching that for sure. I wonder what the 0 DTE like 960 calls look like on cost. Like way out of the money. Let's see. 50 cents, 50 bucks. Those staples all kick in. Costco could jump up like $3 right there and maybe further. So maybe. For now, SPY inside 15, Q's inside 15, so they're just firmed up a little, but it's not going up. Dow is inside, IWM is inside 15. So what that tells us is, right, we go to the 60 seller. This 60 seller is still present. 60 still in force, it's still red. Inside 15, they just stopped some guys out, and the seller's still here. We just need to see them willing to sell into more lows, right? Down below this. But for now, they're a consolidation. XRP destroyed the weekly sell, taking the weekly shooter down. XRP right here. This, boom, 322 XRP USD off the 22 day to cause it. Down they go, XRP. And it is a rebreak of the shooter, but rebreaks also should be going instantly. So they break that, and we'll have to see if they take them to the pound town. We only got 2 days left, but over the weekend, XRP could drop 15% down in here. That'd be an issue. So you got a magnitude of 109 billion, which, you know, XRP USD, you get a magnitude of 1.809 for 2 days below last week's lows. Oh, wow. Twitter is down. Yep. She down. SPY right now, so you can see inside 15, they're still firmed up. They haven't reversed. But you can see how that seller, they were here for a little bit, and then boom, the buyer comes back. And this is why inside bar matters. They firmed up. Q's inside bar matters, and notice it's still weaker below yesterday's lows, which is why shorting weakness is ideal. Dow Jones firms up a little bit. You'll see on the 15 inside green, they start reclaiming some of the previous 60 low, and the previous 60 is a 3. So that is broadening, or a broadening formation here, which makes this level more important, 492.88. Then IWM, you can see after taking out the lows, like we said, inside day. Why could you buy low day IWM? Because you can expect it to reverse. It's inside day. So 225 minute, they actually firm this one up, and it's still the strongest one that we see across the board. So we can say Q's and SPY weaker, IWM the strongest, and then Dow is also there. Do the sectors update. The sectors update, right? And you can see in the sectors, utilities 60% going up, real estate's 50% going up. So there's already leadership here. They're willing to buy, which shows that this is rotation out of this and into these guys. So real estate's 3260 full time frame continuity, 2 month. That's expansion of the range. So it's a measured move like this. Goes up, brief pause, and then up again above all that. It's real estates. So right now, SPY, you see they tick down, but they come back. They're still inside 15, so they're not out of the woods yet, but that inside 15 will matter to us. And it's really the tech and semis dragging things down the most. A little bit of discretionary in there as well. Industrials to the highs. 15 RevStrat. Did we attempt to tell you guys, you know, what that's going to do? We did. Right? There's your RevStrat. There's your pivot machine gun. RevStrats are meant to go instantaneously. So you're going to buy it and your stop goes here like this, right? Risking like 4, 5, 6 cents, like not much. Boom, you're in. Look at the defense sector. Is that a RevStrat 15? Yep, you're in. 1, 2, boom. Gone. NOC, nice. RTX, boom. And like we said, you know, this might not be the biggest move, but intraday, you know, 0.5%, that's not bad. They can get high a day, but you already got your winning position. General Dynamics, you can see they firmed up, but they came back. So they got pivot target 1 and 2, which is the magnitude. It was to take this out, and then that was it. So sometimes you get magnitude, sometimes you get a lot more than magnitude, which is what we're looking for. You see those industrials, now that they hit magnitude, that's where profit taking occurs, like this. Boom, back in. So you buy it here. Maybe you add, it goes to high day, reduce half, and then you're in, or you get out of everything and you got your money, right? You can even flip it short if you wanted to try and take it back to the low a day with this on the 3 minute, maybe. The real estate ETF, yeah. You are aware of that one from the macro vid. So let's just go take a look at the sectors by their candles, see what they're doing. So we go sectors here. You're going to see 2 down. Biggest losers, semis, SOX, IBB, so biotechs. IBB, they tick down. They didn't really go anywhere, though. So here's your 3. There are 3 160 minutes, so setting up the next 2. Slight energies, slight gold miners. Let's see. Yeah, so look at gold miners here. Nice broadening formation you got there. That's something we look for. And you can see we missed out, but hammer 15 times the bottom of scenario 3 on this 30 minute. So this is setting up GDX. So we'd call that 322 fun to say, fun to do above 95.87, similar to IWM right here on the 30. Below that to take low of day, boom, right, takes them out. So it's the same thing, just the other way. We still have this wick here showing up on the 60 SPY, so you can see they sold, but then they start coming back in. So again, like we're saying, this broadening formation shows your true support. So right here, they hit it, they start coming back into the range. So although the downside, we could have seen that might have been it. So if we go hammer 30, countering this shooter 30, that's momentum the other way in less than 5 minutes here, which gives you about $5 of magnitude to work with on SPY. So that's something we can look for in a few minutes here. And that might be hammer 30 with the SPY and Qs and Dow Jones and IWM countering the previous sellers. And those sellers were not the yearly guys, monthly, quarterly guys, right? So they're weaker sellers compared to those bigger time frames. So things like IWM, that would be where you have the most evidence, as they are still inside day. But we could have the simultaneous 30 across the whole market firming things up. If we go to sectors, you can see we still have that leadership in real estate, utilities, although not as much. Right? And then financials, industrials, like we still have some buyers that are showing up here, which again makes it easier to reverse the market both directions. Now we'll have to see, right? Still inside 15. 30s don't open for another 4 minutes. So let's see, now that we have the 30s setting up fun stuff. AU in the gold miners. You got the 322 setting up AU with GDX. So here's all of our 3-2 down in green. Sorted from high to low ATR. So you got mostly gold and silver plus gold and silver miners is what we see. So silver's in there. Gold. Wow, nice 32230 gold. Look at this. Anytime we're above that, you get a 1% magnitude on the gold 60-minute. So ever since making those new lows on SPY, that seller has just been gone so far. So you have hammer 30s indexes. The second that 30 goes green, now those sellers are trapped, in fact. So we can use our tight stop, but we can still trap out these guys, right? If that wants to break in less than a minute here. So if I was a futures guys, I'd just be uber long trying to play that reclaim. We get these 30s to kick in. Dow Jones will have it as well as IWM. So you're going to have 30 hammers across the board. So this next flip becomes more sensitive. Let's see what the next two is. Hammers should just break right away. There it is. SPY. And we'll see Qs breaking right away. So this hammer counters the signals down on the day. Now that doesn't mean we can't counter this hammer as well. But right now, if it's above that, that counter is occurring. And your broadening formation you see on Qs, it'd be back through the morning range with the 60-minute group green. Now, depending on how you're trading today, if you're trading a simultaneous 60 down, what we say is unless the 60-minute reverses, technically that simultaneous 60 still has the control. Now, that is only true if the 30 is not in force. So whenever we're above this hammer, if you're going to try and just hold short, which you can do, but whenever above this, that is the risk, right? This would be telling you, that's an issue. Now, if it were to just come back in and not be above that, go outside bar, right? That'd be great for you. But right now it is in force and that does become a problem. If we look at our 30-minute stats, you can see to start, industrials are leading with real estates, which is not that surprising. Industrials, right? Go to your 15-minute, still good. 2, 2, right? There's some profit taking, but it still is a 2 up. Defense sector, 1, 2, 2, boom. 2, still good. Lockheed Martin still working its way back up on the 2230 Lockheed Martin. NOC, still good for now, but inside. RTX 2 just shy of taking out the all-time highs magnitude. GD is not really participating there. GE, some profit takers. So you can see they tick up a little bit SPY. And Qs, they didn't go anywhere though. So they tried to counter that 60 seller, that daily seller, that weekly seller. But the counter was unsuccessful because this is red, 621.03. So hammer so far trying to get countered by the seller again. And we're watching this like a fight, right? The sellers, they sold down aggressively. The buyers are like, heck no. Brings them up. The buyers tried to buy up. Seller is like, nope. Sells it back down. So now what? And we're just sitting here. And if we have, if we don't get much movement until the next 60, that's also a possibility. But for now, they are countering that 15-minute or 30-minute group. Gold is still green on the 30s. But Qs and SPY are 2s going 3 to the downside with the 60 group to the downside. Materials closer to 30s up, however, still inside. And that's after some triangle layout, some slight lower lows, and then potentially they try and firm up. Real estate still at the highs, still 3-2 up 60. Utilities double inside 30, so they might be setting up your rev strat shortly. Gappers, QXO, rev strat 30. VST when double inside a bar up. Tech. So you can see tech, 60 minute, the second 60 of the day, those buyers came back and they reduced their short positions, closing them out. ALB. We mentioned ALB, the 2 down in green with a magnitude to the morning highs. 2 down, 2 up 30 on the new 60 open. And so far that's working. So ALB, this is one of the big material names that we want to be buying this year. So they gap it down. No idea why. But we prefer the 2-2 back up on the day, right? We're probably not going outside day today, but we can be watching that for next week. MU still chopping them up inside 60. Same with STX. Rocket Lab. They had a nice inside 30 there, and they did make another high off the momentum for 2%. Not bad. Moderna, nothing. And let's take a look at the inside days. App on the inside day. They dropped 3% off our signal. That's pretty good. Gap up and sell on this 60. Dropped 5%. You can see 3, 1, 2 on the 5 minute, and they just got demolished. Now, we'll have to see what the next setup is there. SPY and Qs, they're still right there at the 30 break. Qs is still weaker. Dow breaks the 30s now, so you got all 4. Dow and IWM are the strongest. So these are going to be the easier ones to buy if we're going to buy them. Off these 30s, IWM and Dow. IWM is the strongest. The reason it's the strongest is because at this point, the day is green, right? Versus, it's like right now, 2-2-30 with a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly buyer IWM. Compared to Qs, 2-2-30 with a 60-minute, right? 2 down. So it's going down right now. But daily seller, weekly seller, and then barely green on the month. So although Qs might have a bigger broadening formation here, right, about 1%, IWM is technically stronger, although still inside. With the industrials already going up, Dow Jones also has some evidence to it because there's a lot of industrials in the Dow. It's the Dow Jones Industrial Average, right? Materials is close to breaking those 30s. And if I had my Thinkorswim up, see if I can get a new security code and log in quick. Sadly, my Thinkorswim isn't opening. What I wanted to do is get a sector view, and I wish we could do it on the website. We can, but so we go to the scan, we click sectors, and we look at the 30s. And so we go here, sector 30s. So things going up, right? 2 down, 2 up reversal. Semis, gold miners, gold miners, technology, uranium, jets, right? So those are all potential trades there on the 30s, right? Jets, hammer 30, boom, goes instantly. Uranium, hammer 30 after stopping out the morning guys, right there. 54.24. Just things like CCJ, RevStrat 30, UEC, nice 222, right? Goes up, stops everyone out, and then it's trying to come back. Get those buyers in there again. So there's some uranium's firming up with the materials sector right now. Materials, which is your ALB, is also in that materials. So SPY, simultaneous 30s, Qs, they are kicking in. Dow kicks in, IWM kicks in, and those are just a little stronger. So at this point, the whole market, we're not going to see it on the 60-minute, but what we will see is this. I wish I could zoom into this. Yeah, here it is. So notice, see these green slivers on the right side of this zero line right here that we got? This green shows us active buyers countering the downtrend. So whenever you see green here and here and here in tech, they're countering the sellers. They're trying to buy the things the sellers were just selling off. The same way utilities, right? It's going up, but anytime this red starts creeping over, that's the sellers kicking in the other way. In this case, utilities is still inside on the 60-minute, but the sector is a little bit more firm. We got nearly the whole market going 30s up right now, and I can show you that's true because of this. If you look at who was 2 down on the previous 30s, 700 of 1,300 names, so half the market went down. Now, of those 2s down, half of those reversed, right? So now right now, we have almost 700 back to the upside, about 600 here. So it's not everything, but you can see industrials 60%, right? That's where the most rotation's going. And then SPY and Qs technically have a majority uptrends, but we'll have to see how strong those guys can get, right? Hammer counter shooter is what this is called. Shooter signal countered by hammer signal, which causes trap shorts here to get out. Industrial, so you can see still good on the RevStrat 15. And notice again, this reversed while the market was going down, which is why we're always looking at sectors to find the rotation. Look at gold, right? 3, 2, boom. Right, it's already up $1. What about silver, right? 3, 2, 2. It's a little weaker than gold. Or actually, is it? Let's see. I don't have, yeah, so it's a little weaker just on the 30 break. Gold was a little more volatile today. But look at the broadening formation on gold. You can see how that broadening support and resistance is broadening. Right, this inside 5-minute occurred way down at the bottom of this, which caused that 30 to go, which is pretty neat. Now, when we're looking at this, we still need to keep our head on our shoulders, right? The day is still red. So anyone short today, they can stay short at this point because, you know, the day is still red. Now, what would change that would be outside 60-minute or a 2-2 60-minute in 17 minutes, right? If they were going to change it. Now, if they're not going to change it, it would be a 2 up 30 that didn't reverse the 60, did not cause a 3, and then a 2-2-2 again, right? So 2 down, 2 down, 2 up, 2 down. So the next 2 on the 60-minute and the 30-minute is going to matter to us because either we counter the counter, right? So it's like aggressive seller or aggressive buyer comes in here. Aggressive seller comes in here to the lows. Aggressive buyer tries to counter those sellers. And then an aggressive seller comes back to counter those buyers, right? It's like counter, counter, counter. Can happen. Or we trigger the 60, which counters the daily, changes the day, and then we kick back into everything green. So we're at a precarious spot. Either side of this range gets our attention. If it stays up or it doesn't. Tech on the gappers, they're coming up still off the lows. MU still mother bar. You do technically have a sideways 60 inside bar here. These two 30s are 60 minutes inside of this. So the low of that is technically a break. STX chopping them up. Rocket Lab. Nice profit taking you had there. Look at this. Inside bar, consolidation of all this stuff. Goes up. Fiverr brings it all the way back into the consolidation, and now they're trying to take out. You can see the reclaiming of the morning highs. They're trying to take the morning lows, technically. You can see inside bar breaks up and then gets countered. It's pretty neat. So you can see US 500 right now. We got our nice puke below the lows for the initial move. Didn't stay down, comes back in, and now inside 60. You see if we go to like a 4-hour basis, this is why it's important to see those equilibriums or those mother bars. All of these bars were stuck inside of this bar, but then we ticked down and we came back in. So when we look at a 30-minute basis of this, that hammer 30 we see on SPY is the signal that's reclaiming that low. And you see we stopped some guys out, but the 60s have not changed yet. All-time high trading is difficult. Well, good thing is we're not at all-time highs right now. And we're also not inside day anymore, right? Which is why this rejection of yesterday's lows is important to us. Is the rejection it tends to be bigger than whatever the other move would have been, which is a very important thing to know when you're trading. So for example, if we're selling, let's say we're selling right here at low a day, like some people will do, right? Breakout traders, they're selling below low a day. If we just go, 9 cents lower and then reclaim that, the rejection's likely to be much bigger than 9 cents, right? This goes $1 higher. So if we time the rejection, it tends to be a bigger move, which does not mean price can't expand ranges, right? It just means if we go down below yesterday's lows, $1.36, and then we come back, the first thing is it dropped $1. So if you got short, you better be moving your stops towards price. It dropped $1, right? There's no reason to let it come all the way back and lose. Second, though, the rejection, it is likely to be much bigger than $1. So whatever it is, it's probably gonna be bigger than $1. And so far, we've already seen it move $1 back the other way. And the reason the rejection's bigger is because, just think of when you're trading, right? If we're on a 1 minute. Like imagine you go in here and you buy during this bar. You buy, you're an intraday trader, doesn't go anywhere. What do you do once it reverses? You get out right here or wherever your stop is. And then what does that do? Forces price to go further the other way. Because you bought, someone else came in here and sold, and then you came and sold on top of them. And then there's more sellers that show up, right? It counters that, which is why we say when we're playing with signals, we can't just trade every signal. We have to time them properly. So like if we look at SPY this morning, you'll see new highs here inside 5-minute signal, shooter 5-minute signal after new highs. So if you time this and time this properly, then you can get it to the downside. And then here on the flip, right, the inside 5, which triggers the 60 signal, so it pukes a bit, and then new lows to yesterday's lows, it goes hammer on the 5-minute. So if you were, if you're intraday 5-minute guy, you'd use that. Now, we're not going to suggest people trade the 5-minute, but this same thing happens on the 30 and 60s. So if we go to gold, lower lows on the 30 gold, which means on the daily basis, we took out these guys, 420.06. That happened, and then 32230, boom, right there. So it's always timing that signal after we're at the bottom of the broadening formation or at the right points in the broadening formation. Because you'll note this, right, 322 on the 30-minute occurs directly in the middle, right? All of this is right in the middle of this gigantic broadening range. So this is it's going to tend to be much less powerful versus bottom of the range, then the 322 kicks in. You can already see this one moved $1.48. This one broke and it moved 3 pennies, and that was it. And then the next bar opened, and then it finally moved a little bit, moved 70 cents. So this, even if it doesn't work, we're going to get more on the initial move than we would on, trading something that's doing jack nothing, just chopping them up. So SPY, we're coming into our 30-minute magnitude. So we had the 2 up, 2 down 30 here, which gave us magnitude to low a day. The hammer counter shooter momentum actionable signal above this, 691.88, which gave us a magnitude to 692.81. So once you get, 80, 90, 95, 99% of the way there, there's no reason to risk your gains, right? So you're going to do what? You take your stops from your entry or slightly below and you move them towards price, always. Because everyone knows the best trade looks like this, which is why fair value gaps even exist, right? Everyone knows the best trades look like this, right? They just take off. And we know that because people are looking for retests of these levels, these fair value gaps, thinking, if price comes back here and retests it, that's a bullish thing for me. But in reality, this was the bullish thing, the hammer here. And then the next bullish thing was this hammer here. So if this is going to work on SPY, we should see it close up here, barely any drawdown, and keep going. We should see, that fair value gap form from our signal for the ICT traders. The signals are what caused this to happen. At the point of our 30s now, notice the whole market has reversed besides staples and healthcares. So if we go to our sectors, you can see how those buyers started encroaching a little bit on those 60-minute sellers in some of the tech sector. But look at industrials, financials, energies. All these buyers showed up here. Real estates, utilities, healthcares, discretionary. We've got the buyers showing up and countering those initial sells. So if we go to the daily now, you have all these daily red, but notice, see how many of them are starting to flip green. That matters because it shows that there's buyers on the weak names. So that's what this is, right? Buyers showing up on SPY. And you'll see we hit our first target, boom, right there. And now we don't know. That's it. That was your magnitude on the 30. The next magnitude is the 22-minute or 2260-minute. In 7 minutes, it will close out. So what we'd like to see is that profit taking, stop them out. And then maybe like an inside 5-minute to cause this 60-minute to break on the next flip. That'd be ideal. NVO, oh baby, that's a nice one. Look at this, momentum hammer 60 paired with 2-2 day on the gap list. Momentum hammer 60 above that. That's pretty nice. You might be like, Alex, what's momentum hammer? Glad you asked. We've mentioned it a few times, but it looks like this. Momentum hammer shooter continuation. So right here, signal, boom. It does not have a magnitude. So that's the one thing. In this case, the magnitude was last week's highs and NVO. Oh gosh, we should have been all over that. NVO 2-2 quarter. So I'm going to mention that. So NVO. Oops. NVO, anytime we are above 60.90, that is something we want to know about up into the 95 level. We have PMG targets up and left. I don't know. Every time you show your sector scan hourly, it never matches. Let me see. Well, this is the 60-minute. The hourly, nope, this looks right. The only thing is I might have been zoomed out, but no, it's really hard for this thing to actually show you inaccurate data. The only way it's going to do that is if our data, I guess, engine, so to speak, stops working, like if it crashes. Because it'll crash and then the data just will stop changing. Rarely are you going to have false data. That's the only way that it's going to happen. You can see IWM still much stronger than the SPY, as we knew. Dow Jones, they're working on it. We're going to set up those 60s. So the next 60-minute 2 is in 4 minutes. And what that tells us is we can scan for exactly what those 60s look like on the futures. So if we go 3, 2 down, and green, here it is. So we can copy that list, and then we can go to the month. We can filter by things that are going up this month. So we're not trading things that are not going up. And I might have just deleted that list. So forgive me. 3, 2 down. Oops. Green. It's on the day. Here's the 60-minute. Boom. And you can even go here and you can filter for full time frame continuity, right? Which is where you're going to see that. And that's really where we want to be. So let's just go look at those and keep it simple. So I'll just get here, GD. Right here, 322 GD. Is every known participant a buyer? Yep. 3-2 year, 2 on the quarter, 2 on the month, week, day, and then the 60 right there. HWM looks similar in there. Not sure about options. TOL. So in the home builders, home build, TOL, 32260, confirm 212 up day, confirm 32 up week, confirm 212 up quarter, confirm 212 up year. We really like TOL. So if TOL breaks, the 60-minute signal would trigger the daily signal, confirming a 3-2 week. So that's already 3 signals. With the quarterly signal, that's 4. With the yearly signal, that's 5. 5 actionable signals at the time of this 60-minute break in 2 minutes. That's something we want to know about. PHM, that's also something we want to know about. The hammer counter shooter 60. now that you've been accustomed to it with the SPY hammer counter shooter 30, the same thing happens across every single time frame. So that's a good thing for us. PHM, if it can break that, we technically would have much less signals than TOL. So it's going to be weaker, but that would be in the home builds inside 3-1 home builders. So home builds, you got the 31260 there with PHM, with TOL, DHI, not so much. KBH, yep, 3-1 KBH. 1 60-minute hammer or momentum hammer KBH. So we'll definitely watch those home builds. Morgan Stanley, 3-130s as well. Or 3-160s, my bad. Which is interesting. It looks like a false print. An IWM, 3-2 down, 2 up 60s with the Dow Jones setting up. So if these 60s break, what do? We add, right? The 30s worked, so we buy more. Qs, 2260, that's buy more. Then SPY would be 2260, buy more. And if you reduced, then buying more is easier since your cost basis could be lower, depending on how you're going to do it. But press the winners, right? IWM is the strongest. Financials have an inside 60. Healthcares are close to the 60-minute pivot machine gun to trigger hammer day. Right there, XLV. Anytime XLV is above this, 156.74 XLV, pivot machine gun, where the pivots should speed price up as the known buyer we identified on the previous 30-minute across most of the market broadens its horizons, buying healthcares as well as SPY, Qs, simultaneous 60, Dow Jones, simultaneous, IWM, simultaneous. For sure, right? For sure that's going to work, for sure. There's zero reason that should not work. Simultaneous break into a period of full time frame continuity. Every known participant is a buyer. So if this doesn't work, that's a big problem, right? And people think that certainty means it has to work, which, the evidence we have tells us, yes, this should work almost every single time we see this condition. However, if it doesn't, what that tells us is there is some seller here that we did not know about that has to sell a lot of shares, because this should just go. There's no reason it shouldn't. SPY, Qs, Dow, IWM, everything's breaking. And we'll alert everyone. And let's see. Sorry, I have not seen the stream chat, but while we wait for this, so the way the 60s work again is, when we take them, we prefer a wider stop, and that does widen the losses. So if you're not trading the strat all the time, you probably shouldn't risk more. But if you do trade the strat, every day, you can press the winner, because let's say it wins 70% of the time, it's like it will lose. But if it wins, 70% of the time, and you put more in it, you're just going to make more over time. But over one trade, it does not guarantee you're going to win it. But let's see. Is our scanner able to search for momentum hammers? Yep. So we can either scan for just hammer on the setups. So we're actually going to go to signal, but we go to just hammer. You can see we can scan hammer here. So plain hammer, if we go 2 up, or if we look for 2 up hammers, I believe it should show us those. Now, I don't know if there was any. Yeah, so here's some 2 up hammers. So if we click here, this is on a 60-minute, which is the bottom right. We'll see momentum hammer BX. There it is. All right, we'll see momentum hammer AAON. Look at this. Momentum hammer weak. Slight doji day, 322 month, momentum hammer 60 right there, AON right there. Anytime you're above 93.33, you could be watching that gapper list. But you can see, right, these are all the momentum hammers with full time frame continuity. So real estate's ARE. It's also momentum hammer. No signals besides that monthly signal that we see. But yes, you can scan pretty much for anything you want because we allowed you to build your own scans in here. So if you want, 1, 3, or actually not on the signal column, but go setup. If we want 1, and it doesn't look like we have any 1-3s, so that's fine. Yeah, so let's just say we want 3, 3, 1. There it is. There's all your 3, 3, 1s. So if we go to QBTS, you're going to have broadening formation, consolidation. 3, 3, 1. Right? You can find whatever you want, pretty much. And if we go look at that, 3, 3, 1, this allows us to find our broadening formation and actually play it. Since we know what broadening formations are, at this point, we're right in the middle. We'd prefer timing the top or the bottom of it. But you can draw that out, and now you know exactly how to draw it. You find a 3, and then you draw right to left. That's it. So you can do some fun stuff. Like you can say, like let's say we just want inside bars all going in our favor. So let's say we want inside bar, so previous year, and then 2 down. So it's like inside bar 2 down year, copy. Then we want inside quarter 2 down, copy. We want inside month 2 down. So we want 3 signals, the month, quarter, and year all breaking down. W day, right? And all I'm doing is switching time frame, and then I copy it. Then what about the inside week down? Copy. So when you look at W day, we're going to see inside month down, inside week down, confirming month, momentum shooter here, momentum shooter here. And then anytime the day is red, that's hitting the lows. And in this case, I don't believe it gapped down here. This just might be a gap in the data on the 60, which sometimes that does happen. But you can see, right, destroyed. And now it's coming back. So 60-minute hammer W day with the 3-2-30. Yeah, they're trying to bring them back anytime above 189. Right there. And you see the nice inside day today. Cool. SPY still good on the 30s. And like we said, everyone knows what a winning trade looks like. They just don't know how to get in them. Here it is. This hammer signal creates winning position. Do I get alerts from the scanner? No. I've been doing this for 6 years, so I know a lot of the stocks. Like you could tell me a sector and I could probably rattle off 20 of the top names in that sector for whatever sector it is. Besides, maybe biotechs, just I don't trade it as much, but it's all about scanning. So and this is how my one-on-one client, or this is how we did it with my one-on-one client, which is, I think, a really good way to do it. As traders, we have to agree on analysis if we're going to work together, which if you're not working together, you're making it harder on yourself. So we have to go to the textbook definitions, and we have to agree. Is this a pivot machine gun where we have 5 consecutive higher lows or lower highs? If we can agree, like, yep, that's a PMG, that's a PMG. All right, we agree. And then can we agree this is a hammer signal? Okay, we can agree, right? Can we agree that this is an inside bar signal, which it's not as obvious as it could be here? Can we agree that this is an inside bar actionable signal? Yes. Okay. So if you can agree on that, then what else can we agree on, right? Any of these. So if me and you agree, we shake hands. We're like, yep, we're going to trade 2-2 reversals, and we're going to go take the market's money. I'm going to look for this, the 2 up in red. I'm going to look for this, the 2 down in green. And we know the signal, we know the target. So if you shake my hand and we agree, this is the signal, this is the target, and the stop would be the open of this at the worst, or maybe the low, then you have someone that runs the scans and finds all the stuff. and then someone that's executing really quick. Because when you separate it, the analysis being incorrect or correct does not matter to the executor. The executor has one job: get in winning positions and then hold. The analyzer has one job: follow the rules, right? We agreed this is a 2-2 reversal. I'm only going to say, hey, watch this 3-2-2 or this 2-2 reversal when this condition's present. So the executor knows exactly what I'm saying without needing a chart, and I know exactly what I'm looking for. So if I know exactly what I'm looking for, and it looks like this, 2 down in green hammer, then if we've agreed on what that is, I can tell you, hey, 3 minutes, mind the additional or the new 30-minute, because we're going to have hammer counter shooter 2-2 reversal on SPY and Qs and Dow and IWM as a simultaneous break. So the executor hears that and he goes, okay, well, I know how that works. I buy every single one. SPY, I'll buy that. Right, Qs, we'll buy that too. Then Dow Jones, maybe we go a little heavier since it's stronger, right? But buy that too. Then IWM, that's the strongest one. Boom, high day. So maybe you go 4x the size in here because, you know, there's additional analysis that we already discussed, right? The day's already green in IWM, so that has to be stronger. We're going to buy that one for sure. So we've shaken hands, we've agreed. The executor doesn't really need a chart because they know their stops, you know, where they're going to go. They can just use the 30-minute. And then the analyzer goes and finds all the stocks for them. So we identified, hey, you know, market's about to reverse. And then we went and we looked for the 30 or the 60-minute 3-2-2s because here's all the potential signals we could buy. Here's 244 signal entries, right? Now, 244 entries, that's trickier to track, right? So what we do prior to the flip is we just filter that, because we can also agree not just on the signals to get in, but we can agree that if we have more of these signals on higher time frames that are going, we have more evidence because the signals tell us, you know, price is moving alongside, you know, long red and green bars telling us that. So if we can agree on that, I can find all the big time frame stuff and then line up that, you know, that lower time frame signal. So if we go to the GD, right? We mentioned that before the flip. We can agree, right? If it's above that, this is bullish. Right now, it's technically not. It's only bullish above that. So it has to be above that, and then we can be long. We have a magnitude. If we switch back over here, the week, month, quarter, year, they're all green on GD. And RevStrat month signal, that's an additional signal. Right? Momentum hammer day, if we're above yesterday's highs, that's an additional signal. The 3-2 year, that's an additional signal. So we have multiple signals and the 3-2-2 60-minute. So if we can agree, right, then we know anytime above that, that's a good thing. Just like IWM here, boom, has to be stronger. And the cool thing is, based on the evidence, you can, you know, if you want to wait for high evidence stuff, you can wait for it because we'll see it, right? If the whole market's about to reverse, we'll see it's going to set up the reversal first, and then it's going to reverse. So you can be very patient, or you can be kind of crazy in and out, up and down, playing both ways. But most traders, what they'll decide to do is they'll trade one signal. A lot of people like the 2 down, 2 up, right? A lot of other people, they like the 3-1-2. A lot of other people like the RevStrat, the 1-3 or the 1-2-2 or the 1-3-2. So I would pick from the 2-2 reversals, the 3-1-2s, and the 2-bar RevStrats and 1-bar RevStrats. And then they will just decide to do that in the direction of continuity, where we have the 60-minute, the day, the week, and the month all going in the same direction. So during this month, if the month looks like this, and we have a weekly signal, a daily signal, and a 60 signal, we have every reason to believe this is going outside month, unless that changes. At least all week, at least today, at least right now. You'll see XLF, the inside 60 breaks up, confirming the market rally. Now, healthcare's, right? We can also agree inside week, inside day. So if this doesn't work to the upside, it could RevStrat. So this is not a good thing, right? Inside bar, potential 3 the other way. That's no good. Why do you need to execute quick? Well, think of it this way. There's something there's something called expected value. So let's say if we win 60% of the time and our average win is like, let's say $10 over the course of, let's say 10 hours of trading, how many trades can we make is the question. It's not, can I take one trade and be right every single time I take a trade once a day so I can brag on Twitter? It is, this works. I know how to get in winning positions. How many winning positions can I make? Because the winning position that goes 1,000% after you buy it, or whatever you're looking to do, right? If it goes 60% after you buy it, that winning position, if you don't get it the first time or the second time or the third time, like it's into the future, right? If we're not going to win every time, which we can't win every time, besides using simultaneous breaks, that's one way to almost win every time. It makes sense. You want to press. You don't want to just take one and leave. If you know what you're doing. Like if every time you hit the button, you have an expected return of like $100, even though each trade doesn't win, or not every trade wins, you'd want to hit the button as many times as possible. So you can take just the SPY 2260, or you can take SPY and QQQ and Dow Jones and IWM at the same time, and you've now just 4x'd your probabilities of catching a big winner on 4 trades at the same time, versus the guy who makes one winning position 2 hours ago and then he leaves for the rest of the day. He's like, yeah, I made my 5 points, I'm out. It's like, you can do that, right? Everyone has different goals. I'm not saying you can't do that, but what I am saying is the people who say that is the best way to do it are incorrect, because they don't actually know what they're doing then. I would only take as many that you are comfortable watching and handling. Yeah, duh, of course. But once you get good at this, like IWM, if you bought it here, it's all the way up there. So what are you going to do? This is my entry. My stop would have been, like 10 cents below this, right? And I did play that, so I have a position here. But you buy it here, very tight stop. So if we're wrong, so be it. Doesn't matter. That's the other thing. Most traders have gigantic stops, so they're scared to take a ton of trades because they know if they lose 5 in a row, they're toast for the rest of the day. Versus us, right? We know above that, it should just go very tight stop. So once you buy it and it closes here, as we discussed before, winning positions go instantly and they create, the so-called fair value gap everyone talks about. So our winning position creates that. Once this happens, you can put your stop even. You could put it at the midpoint. You can put it in profit. You can put it, right here if you just want to defend the winning position and just get stopped out if it doesn't instantly keep going, right? You can do whatever you want, but what you do is you take your entry, you put your stop a penny above it, then you move on to the next one. So if we got IWM here, all right, we'll come back later in the day and we'll see if IWM is still good or not. And you just move on. So now we go to SPY. We got SPY here. All right, I'm going to put my stops here. I'm going to go golf, Qs. All right, I'm going to put my stops here. All right, we're good. Dow Jones, I'm going to put my stops right here. We're good. In profit stops on everything. Now I've made 4 winning trades that are never going to lose outside of, intraday gaps and, black swan event, but that's very rare. Or theta decay, right? If you're playing options. So options are a little trickier. But if we're just purely trading shares, we just put our stops in profit and then we just go look for more signals. Right? Like we're sitting here, it's like, does GD re-break? Right? We'll have that on a different screen. We had gold, right? We got gold here too. So we have this winning position. You can see all your stops go in profit. And then the question just is how much money you're going to make at the end of the day. So if you make 10 winning positions in the first 2 hours of the day, you can go about your day job and come back 5 minutes before the close. At the time of the close, you're either going to be stopped out of all of them for a very slight gain, or you're going to come back and you'll have 2 of them that are up, big. One of them's up a little bit and the other one stopped you out and you made a ton of money. You didn't have to sit in front of the screens. You just had to let things play out, which is why the strat is built this way, because if you're going to try and invest or try and day trade or swing trade, whatever you're doing, you have to create winning positions, because if you hold losers, you'll lose money. So using any of the ways price reverses, it at least creates a winning position in that moment. So during this 30-minute, we created a winning trade. Now we can either hold it, reduce it, exit it, add to it. Doesn't matter. We just have to make sure our stops are not below where we bought it. It's the only rule, right? It's like SPY. If we wanted to, we could just go put our stops down here, or we could just stop out right now and say, there's some profit taking. I'm good. Just get me out. Right? You can do whatever you want. You just can't hold a loser, right? At this point, I'd prefer to just keep holding this. Get your stops moving towards price, but like we go like this. So one thing we will do is this. So we go to the 30-minute, let's say our break-even stops here. Once we get that break-even stop on, we want to go to the lowest time frame that is still below price if we're going to trail it intraday. So you could go like down to the 3-minute. So if we put our break-even stop, let's say it was put on here. Yeah, so we could use the 3-minute to trail this. And this way you can set alerts. If you want to let things work, you can use a parabolic SAR. Another way to use it is you can see how it's going down on a 15-minute basis. We used that 30-minute group to try and trigger that to reverse into an uptrend. All right, so there's other ways to use that, but it's mostly, if we create a winning position down here, we can just trail it like this. All right, let it go, and then right here we decide: are we going to get out? Are we going to add to it? What are we going to do? But once you're in a winning trade, you can do whatever you want. That's the beautiful thing. Costco went 322 as well. It might take a little bit. We got some magnitude there. You'll notice, unlike IWM, see how Costco is still red on the day? So anyone short today, they get to stay short, even though it's reversed. Compared to IWM, all those shorts got out. You can see we're just off the highs, 3 cents off making all-time highs. Yeah, I'm talking about a common. If you're doing options, the same thing's true, but you have to be more aggressive. So when it breaks, you have to understand, if you're trading 0 DTE, it's going to expire at 0 if you're not right. So there's no screwing around. Like, you need the tight stop if you're trading 0 DTEs, because it's better to buy it, stop out for 10 cents a contract, buy it, stop out for 10, buy it, and then it goes, $5, you make it all back. It's better to do that than to buy it, stop out for $3 loss, 60% loss. Then try and buy it again, stop out for another 40% loss, right? You're just going to get destroyed if you try and do it that way. So it's very important to have tight stops with options. We should just see them go. We don't want to see them hesitate. And there is other ways to do it. Like, if you're going to buy long-term options and trade long-term signals are not quite as instantaneous. However, weekly signals still go almost instantly. Like here, right? This weekly signal broke. Look at 1, 2, 2. Did we agree? That's a good thing to look for. Yes, right. Signal, target. So 2-bar rev strat, that's a good thing to look for. IWM right there. Still good, right? Up 6%. That went almost right when that signal broke. That was gone right down here. You can see they test it to the penny, and it's just gone, right? They're done. The sellers, they got to get out. Boom. So weekly signals and stuff can still go very quick, like down in here, the 3, 2, 2 hammer, right? So another thing we agreed would be good. The 3, 2, 2, right? We have the level of reclaim. We have a target. We have a signal. It was right here, 3, 2, 2, right? And that goes almost instantly as well. So even on big time frames, it can happen, but the higher you go, the less instantaneous things will be, because it's relatively instantaneous. Like a yearly signal, relatively instantaneous might be like 3 weeks, right? Because it's a year, you have 52 weeks. Versus a 60 signal, relatively instantaneous, it might be like 2 minutes, right? It's like when we look at IWM on the 30, it breaks here, does take like 10 minutes here. It does eventually start, expanding higher. But you can see it does take a little bit sometimes. The best ones just go though. Like if you've ever had a trade where you buy it and it's gone, right? It's like if you bought IWM at 250 here, it's like, right, it's just gone. This is the best trade. Any of the entries down here, they pretty much leave your entry right away. Like look at this. Triple inside 30, hammer right there, gone, right? Never comes back. The hammer 30, gone, and then inside. So it consolidated. Right? The inside bar rev strat ticks down, goes green here, boom. Right? All this aggressive buying with our signals to cause the movement. One of our favorites, gap down, it goes green here, that's a gap down buy. Gone. Inside bar, boom. Then we'll see the inside bar, they made all-time high or new highs. Then we made some new lows. Inside bar, boom. Right, never comes back to that one either. Now we can see IWM after going up there, still inside day. So what we can say at this point is although the buyers are more aggressive, they are not strong enough, at least not yet, to take out yesterday's highs. So we just go about 95, 98% of that range that we wanted to see. And then we stall out, which can be the kiss of death, right? Because we know inside bar, this is a consolidation. This whole range is a consolidation. So when we come back into it, it may go rev strat of that inside bar's range. Given the evidence, we prefer to just see slight profit taking and just keep going. You're nowhere near reversing any of this stuff. You go to the 60, you'd have to go 260 down next if they're going to actually reverse anything. If we go to SPY, so you can see they did tick up, but then they come back. So they might form a shooter 30 minute. Qs, shooter 30, Dow, shooter 30. So this would counter. And you can see how IWM was stronger, which gives you a better winning position versus the weakest one, which was Qs. Right? It worked a little bit, but then the second this goes red on the 30, we just reduce. Because we know if this 30 goes shooter, we could go give that daily seller back control of price. And we now have these buyers where if this daily seller starts selling right now, 621.87, these guys might get in trouble now. So price is always either confirming or negating what's happening. And this is what we would consider a 2 down, 2 up, right? And then maybe a 2 up, 2 down, countering that 2 down, 2 up. And this is tricky stuff, yes. But that's also why we use tight stops. It's like, goes down, doesn't work. Okay, get me out. It goes up, doesn't work. Get me out, and then flip me short because we now have the day and potential 3 on the 60. And I want to take a look at XRP. So XRP, similarly, you can see goes up just a little bit, but then starts coming back in right there. Anytime that's red, they're trying to go back through all these buyers here. And since it is a scenario 3 on these lower time frames, you will see broadening formation. So it looks like this on the 1er. So they made the new lows to yesterday's lows, and now broadening formation, they make the new lows here. You see in this case on a 1 minute basis, they start firming up slightly. But this is it on a 5er. So that will be relevant as we continue forward. So let's go and just take a look at our stats, right? And just get a good view. The market's going up, right? Financials 66% or 62%, tech 66%, real estate 74%. Market's going up. The only thing really getting sold off is communications, some materials. But at this point, most of the market is going higher. So what we would then, want to think is this 15-minute group reversing the 30 or 60 at this point? Technically, no. Now, did it stop some guys out? Yeah, maybe it stops you out. That's fine. What's the next setup, right? This might go inside 5 minute. We'll see. We'd prefer in the direction of continuity up. You just got to change that daily group to green. For now, the day is still red. Dow Jones SPY. Yeah, I want to show you guys this. Just got a message in Slack with one of our indicators that we created. We're working on our algorithm. We actually have an investment algorithm we're trying to put together for this year. That being said, we will see SPY, a little bit of a hammer 5 setting up with the Qs, with maybe Dow Jones, and then IWM is stronger. Wow, it's snowing. Beautiful. So here it is. So this is just like a little prototype of it. But you can see, so what it's doing is it takes, in this case, 2-2 reversals, simply. And we're looking for the 2-2 back up. So it's like buy and then hold. Buy, hold, buy, hold. So if things are trending higher, you'll see each one of these higher lows, there's going to be 2-2 reversals doing that. Now, gaps and stuff does make it trickier. However, if we go to NVO, it's like this uptrend is a higher time frame too. So you can see inside weak signal, 2, inside 2, 2, right? See the 2-2 day today with that momentum hammer 60, right? Blasting off that we saw, we were looking at earlier, but still following through, right? This rejection still occurring. This 2-2 day is still happening up at the highs. But if we go to the month, you're going to see the uptrend on the month started here. So it became a 2 here. So this would trigger the month. This, in this case, it gapped. This 2-2 confirms it. This 2-2 today confirms that monthly trend. So this trend of higher lows on the day is simply what it looks like to have a 2 up on the month right here. 2 up here and then 2 up here. So we have the higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. All the daily signals in there to the upside are definitely going up with it. And now we have the quarterly 2, right, which gives us a nice uptrend for all of this. All of these guys. And we expect all these guys to be taken out, which is a 54% move. And it's looking a lot better in SPY, right? SPY's a little bit stuck inside now. So getting kind of tricky in there this morning. IWM, after taking the highs out, they start coming back. SPY, Qs, all this stuff. It's closer to reversing down, but it's also opening inside 5-minute mother bar. So we still prefer the upside, but for now, not so much. We got a real estates. We mentioned the 3-2 this morning. Above that, 41.87, and they're still chugging along. They're up almost 1%. Staples, we mentioned this, the triangle layout, inside 60. It did break. Now it's running out of time. You only got 27 minutes left on it. But maybe that sets up an outside day or a 2-2 for next week. We'll have to see. Healthcares, they're still rev stratting that 60 minutes, setting up for the next 60-minute open. Or actually, let's see. They might firm up with the fiber with the indexes, but we'll see. Industrials. So industrials, after that beautiful rev strat, notice this is the thing. This rev strat signal occurred at 166.46. It's still above that. So even though it reversed here, you could still be in there. And maybe you reduce and then you just keep holding. Simple enough. Home builds 312 down. So they actually reversed to the downside with the daily 2 going 3. Now, are we going to prefer the downside on this? Not really. We prefer it to the upside. But we got a triangle in here. So if this starts falling apart, it could be a lot worse. Intraday at least. We're still just not seeing much aggressive buying here. IWM, 15ers and 30s down. Still inside day, so that could be an issue back to low day, even though it's stronger. You don't want puts. Sarah, you're funny. Wonder if we're going to chop them with OPEX today. Yeah, that could be, a problem here. Because this is what we're seeing. This is the morning range. Notice we went 3 right in the middle of it. So this is new price discovery starting over in the middle of a range. That is the definition of consolidation. So we look at a 2-hour, 1. So here it is, 1. How is this going to become a 2? That becomes your question. So you can mark out the highs and lows, and then you mark out that broadening formation, because that tells you how it's going to happen. So currently inside fiver to try and cause this top of the broadening formation to become, a 2 to the upside there to take that out. But we'll see. Qs, same thing. Dow, same thing. So they all firm up very little on the fibers. Staples still going on the 60. So that's just confirming. So for now, we'd say SPY 230 still good, 1 still good. So technically the 30 simultaneous break is still occurring, which makes this a higher low in that uptrend there. But we're starting to get stuck in the middle. So inside 30, Doji 60, inside 2-hour. Can you get out of that? And that being said, I'll probably just shut up going forward because I'm a picky person. I don't want to trade in the middle. Tech, the 2230 gappers. And look at long red and green bars. This is another thing traders miss out on. You have long red and green bars. We can play both ways. 2-2 up for 30 minutes. Shooter, 2-2 down for 30 minutes, right? That's on the gappers. ALB. Inside 60 momentum shooter in ALB, but running out of time. We'd prefer a double inside 60 ALB. MU did break down. However, we can time the rev strat with the 15-minute hammer here, like such. So MU, that's something to be watching as we get towards the end of this 60-minute to set up the rev strat 60. And this is how we play rev strats. Mother bar, and then trying to play back through with signals to cause things to happen. If we go to Rocket Lab, still shooter 60, Moderna did pop up a little. What about our inside days? VLO went inside down 60s. So VLO, you might have a 2-hour inside bar here, but if it breaks down, could be issues with the pivot machine gun day. Be a very good Lotto Friday candidate. Unity might get the 60-minute rev strat back down in the direction of the daily rev strat. It goes 1-3 on the day. It's still 3-3 weak, but the threes show buyer and seller aggression. So maybe that's still true. They're still aggressive. App. You can already see on the 30s. So they have the profit takers, 2-2-30, boom, right back into everyone selling. This month, quarter, year, week, day, right now. The low of the very first 1 minute that breaks, then if stopped, reset your trade. Sure, you can do that if you need a specific set, but if you're going to do tight stops, the spread plus a penny is the tightest it goes, which is technically the correct way to do it. Because if I'm like, hey, a cat is a cat, and you're like, yep, cat's a cat. And we agree that if there's a cat, we're going to make the trade. If there's a cat, you make the trade, and then there's not a cat, get out. So if there's a signal in force, we're in. If it's not in force, we're out. That's like the logic of it. Because signals, we know if they are in force, good things happen. Like this hammer here. Boom, good things. Inside signal here. Anytime that's in force, good things happen. Right now, it went inside and then down, but it did not stay in force. That's it. But with options, just in and out. Options is based on the underlying. So like if I'm playing SPY and I'm playing options, I have a 10-cent stop on SPY, not on the option. Because again, if a cat's a cat, and we've agreed a cat is something we want to trade, you can trade it using options, but you can't base your stop on the option because the option is not the cat, right? We're basing it on the cat. We're not basing it on the option. The cat can be a dog if it wants to be, but it can't. It's either a 2 or it's not a 2. Yeah. But the beautiful thing is like, you know, NVO's one. If you get this momentum hammer 30, boom, triggers the quarter, you're in. Right? If you wanted to widen your stop, you could. You make the 2%, you reduce half your shares, and you put your stop at low a day, and you're good to go. Now you're in the quarterly signal. So if the cat stays a cat, right, we're above the quarterly break, you're good. Meow woof. Yep. But that being said, you know, we're starting to get to 11. This is normally when we call it quits here. TNA is the counterpart to IWM. I have no idea. TNA? Yeah, you can trade TNA. If you're going to trading shares, yeah, you want to trade those leveraged ETFs. And people think you can't trade shares and make a ton of money. Like, look at, this is the MicroStrategy ETF. It rallied 33% in 2 days. That's like an option. Like, they think you can't trade money because they open up SPY and they're like, wow, SPY moved 0.25% today, right? 2 more hours. But yeah, thanks for showing up. The live streams are always recorded and they're always posted after. YouTube automatically takes live streams and just puts them right up there. So it will be there. This point, we're still inside 30s. So technically the 30 simultaneous breaks are still good until they're not. IWM was the only one that reversed, stopping some guys out, but that's it, right? It's not going all the way down here, at least not right now. So I stopped some guys out. That's about it. Where is it? Nope. Go to open with. Nope. 15ers closed 3-1 on the SPY, the Qs, Dow. So you got 3-1 15ers across 3 of the 4 indexes, major indices. Is Twitter still down? Kind of. Looks pretty slow. IBM still re-breaks the 30s down, so you can see they're still coming back in a little. But rest of the market, let's see, Dow 312.15 down, Qs still inside, SPY still inside 15, so not much happening, boys and girls. VLO though on the 60, they are hitting them a little bit. More interesting though, again, if we go here, is this daily if they start ripping through these guys. Could be a very quick Lotto Friday name into the latter half of the day when options are their cheapest on Friday. CCJ setting up a RevStrat 60. Uraniums. Myrna RevStrat 60 setting up here at the top of the range. Look at this. Higher highs on the 60-minute plus our RevStrat actionable signal anytime Myrna's red here. 4170. And it's got 10 minutes left. So if it doesn't go 3, it's going to have 1 shooter counters hammer RevStrat, which is a momentum signal paired with a momentum signal. Because the RevStrat is a momentum signal, 1, 2, 2. The shooter counter hammer is a momentum signal. So that's a pretty good thing. Now the weekly buyers and stuff, they're here. But if that 60 kicks in, they're not there anymore, at least not as far as we know. Looks like the Quantum's got a whole lot of nothing today. ALB is closing the double inside 60 in about 10 or 13 minutes. MU, you'll see the 15 hammer that we alerted there did kick in, setting up the 60 hammer. And you can see this is what's called create, and this is how we time signals properly. This 15, since we can gauge the magnitude to take out 355.63, if it works, we know it will create 60-minute 1, 2 down hammer, which is pairing the hammer with the RevStrat. And if this occurs, it would occur with full time frame continuity above all opens. So all known groups would be buyers. The only thing is we're buying a gap up. So you just got to be aware of the gap up. So if this does not work, it's just not doing much today. Might have to broaden that range. For now, market is still firm. ALB, it's double inside 60 is almost going to break. So you got 10 minutes for that to break and go somewhere. And then once those 10 minutes are up, if it's still inside, you'll have a 2-hour inside bar measured move ALB. So if they just want to keep selling that off as an outside week or something on a Friday, they could. I would prefer to buy it, but what goes down must come up next, right? If our continuity stays green on the year, maybe next week they tick down a little bit and then start going the other way. Indexes are still not doing much. Qs 31215 are setting up the 2 up or the 2 down, 2 up, 2 down 60 minutes. So Q's a little weaker. Dow and IBM are a little firm for now with SPY. So not much to talk about again. You know, what's the next 2 on the 60 minute? So it matters more to me. If we go to the defense sector, we identified right in the morning while the market was puking, this is a good buy right there, 90.75. It's still up almost at 93 now. That's $2 on a $90 name. It's not bad. If we go to Lockheed Martin, you can see the 2215 here. It did go up a little bit and then stops you out. So be it. But maybe you get double inside. We'll see. And OC, RevStrat 15 here, buy. 122 hammer, RevStrat 15 here, buy again. They both work. Go right to where they're supposed to. High of day. RTX, RevStrat 15 here, buy. 21215, add. Still works. Are they buying this? They are, right? Across to every time frame. It's good stuff. Very good stuff. Get those colors correct. What if we go to GD? RevStrat 15 here, buy. Slight lower low, and then 15 again, buy. Inside 15, add, buy. 32260, did we say this has every reason to work? We did. So you can see if we agree, this is how our community works. If we can agree the 322, there's levels of reclaim involved. There's 2-2 reversals with signals and a target. Only if we're above the signal is it going to target. Then I can help you find them, right? Here's your 322. There's your winning position. And you can do that many, many times over. That's only one of them, right? Now, not every single one's going to go, but once you create winning positions, eventually you get the one that just goes, right? Gold makes you a little bit, then it comes back. So be it. SPY, still good. It has not came back yet. Q's still good, although it's a little weaker. Dow, still good. It did come back slightly. So you see these indexes are just not as interesting versus IWM, right? Still has not came back to entry, although they stopped some guys out here. Industrials has just been stronger today, which is good stuff. Fun stuff. Real estates too. We get that 60 up. And we're going to go like this. 15, 30, 60, day, week, month. That makes this better. You can see these real estates with the 3-2 still 2-ing. Apple 2 down hit month. Do I think it's going to hit price target? We don't need to think. That's the beautiful thing. 2-2 month, it's already hit its target. It was to take this out. And then it kept going. How did it do that? 3-2, RevStrat 132 shooter week. Is that something we've agreed on? If we haven't yet, we can agree here. 132 with levels of reclaim. That's your first, way to get in there. Signal, target. So we had a signal, we had a target here. So we can agree Apple had a signal here with an initial target to take this out. And then the 3 on the day, this outside bar shooter is a 3-2, which causes the 3-2 week, causes the 2-2 month. So we can agree the daily set up and triggered the weekly, which triggered the month. Now, if we were late to that, we can also agree the 3-1-2. 3, 1, 2 reversal here confirms. So they're still selling today, confirming the month, confirming last week's rejection or last week's 3-2 expansion on the week. So if we're going to keep selling it, it would be here. We don't have to guess, is it going to keep going down? Well, if the daily hasn't reversed, it's technically still going down according to this signal. And then if you're not in there already, we would not want to short low a day, because look at all this, all the tight stop guys here. If it ticks up just a little bit, everyone stops out, and then we can start, trying to go and short low a day or too low a day from here down to here. But for now, technically you could go here, right? 312 on the 15. You just don't got much target to work with. You got 11 pennies. So you got to get down and start hitting the lows hard. ACN was a great 60-minute. Yep. You can see why was it great, though. Timed the broadening formation and the level of reclaim. So you can see this would be mother bar. So notice this bar encapsulates these three. So these three bars inside of this bar makes this bar a mother bar, which is a level of reclaim, 285 to 23 to 289. So if we go and we look at what a mother bar is, do we have it just for the rep strat? Yeah. Level of reclaim is the low of the mother bar. The target is the high. The signal occurs here. So you see it reclaims, then the other side of the range. So this is another way to time that. Inside 60 to reclaim the mother bar, other side of the range to the penny. Inside 30 to cause the reclaim, other side of the range. There they go. Inside 15 here, reversal, and here to cause the reclaim of this level, up they go. So you can see this inside bar actionable signal. Our stop at worst is the low of this bar. Ideally, it's the spread plus a penny, which might be a little wider on ACN. So maybe it's like this. The target of that is to take this out. That target is pretty much the level of reclaim. So if that works, we're going to reclaim that level. Then we have corrective activity, 2 up in red. Didn't reverse, but it was red. And then additional signal. This signal has a target above this to take that out. That occurs above the level of reclaim. Where's it going? Other side of the range, right there. And then we go to the day. You can also see a daily inside bar being reclaimed. So we had the initial target of that, which might cause profit taking, which it does. Then the bigger target of all this fun stuff on the left. The cheat sheet, I can absolutely share it. In fact, I already posted it on Twitter, I believe. And if I didn't, I can repost it. But I swear that I posted it on Twitter. Yeah. Pre-market data? Nope. You can. We just look at the futures. We want our 60 to open at the bottom of the hour at 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. The futures open up at 8, 9, 10, 11. So you can see, right? Futures goes down and then comes back, closes right here. This is the 9 a.m. candle. SPY, you can see, looks completely different. And they're both 60-minute charts. It's because of when that 60-minute opens. And because of when the 60 opens mattering, we prefer to have it open at the bottom because that will align with the daily open at the beginning of the day. And it also aligns, I believe, with the last 30 of the day open. Could you please answer my question? Where is it? SPY is buy. Can we automatically buy ES? Yep. Now, if you're looking at ES and you're like, wow, ES is a really big inside day and SPY isn't, you can just call the trade off, right? You look at ES and you're like, wow, this thing's doing nothing today. Okay, don't trade it, right? That's why we trade sectors, because we compare ES or the futures to industrials. Industrials is going up today in comparison. Or if we go to IWM, which would be RTY, although it's inside day, it's just been, they're buying it. So still a lot better as it's stronger. And now we got the broadening formation here. See if we can't make that thing bigger. You can see they test the lows, test the highs, test the lows to the penny, test the highs. It's pretty beautiful. Is there another sale on the scanner Discord? So we do still have our sale going. Let me find it for you. So if you're interested, yeah, it would be this one here. And I will pin that in the chat. So if you're interested, we do have our scanner that you've seen me using today to find, what the market's doing. We have a sale that is for 2026 where you can get the scanner and you can get a year of the premium with the scanner, as well as it's the full scanner breakdown. So you get everything. So we get our automatic daily, weekly, monthly watch lists, all that fun stuff, of which I think we still have an issue here that the devs have not fixed yet. Yeah, so Tesla's inside this month. It's scanning the wrong one. So we're working on that. The daily one works perfectly fine, and I use it pretty much every night. We have the algo alerts, which shows more like very liquid names when they reverse. So like Apple today, 312 down, that occurred at 9:49 a.m. So it gets your attention to actionable signals without having to scan. And like we said on Apple right here, the 15er, boom, gets you in, down they go, right? Confirming the daily that occurred right there at 9:49 a.m. So anytime it was below this. And the way it works is either you take the break on the daily with a wider stop, or you can time it with a lower time for entry. So closes below on the 15 minute. Maybe you play the retest of that with a lower time frame. If we go to like a 3 minute or something, and is it not going to show me it? Yeah, so for some reason it's not going to show me the whatever. Here it is. But if we go down to a lower time frame, right? This is a 3 minute. You don't have to get this low, but you want to see it go green first, and then once it flips red and starts coming back in here, you can hit it and do something like this. So you let them buy it, and then you go and sell it against them, because that way we have losing traders in the wrong side of our trade, right? So we're selling, and then they have to get out with the daily signal. So anytime you get these green bars, then you just wait for the reversal or change in color. So you can see like inside, green, 2 up, green, 2 down, rev strat, boom, there you go. And you pretty much can do that all day. We like doing it on the 30, 60s and whatnot. But this will automatically alert those types of things. The radar allows you to see all the setups from the night before during the trading day, as well as the previous night. The gappers allows us to find, like you saw this morning, the gapping names. So when you have earnings and stuff, we can actually go here, click earnings, and here's all the earnings coming up, right? And we can also go to gappers. Here's all the gaps that opened up or down today. And we can see if we go to the day, here's the strongest gaps from the daily open measuring. Here's the weakest gaps from the daily open that we're measuring. So we like to stay on the strongest and weakest names. And then in the middle, this is where you're going to set up your rev strats and stuff. So we scan this list every 30 and 60 minutes. You hear me say inside 30 gappers, rev strat gappers, 2 up in red, 2 down in green gappers. It's because the gaps have stuff happening. There's news, there's stuff going on. So we go to QXO. On the gaps, we said inside 60 QXO. Or we might have not, it might have been jumping around, but we did mention the 30 inside. So it went 1 shooter, 2 down. And then just like we've talked about, if this rev strat fails, don't care, don't cry about it, don't go on Twitter. Hammer counter shooter momentum right there. Your stop, at worst 3 pennies, up they go. Right, 2%. That's pretty good. So this is why we trade the gaps. Even, you can get chopped up right in the middle of this morning range, but the 222, right, the inside bar, the rev strat, that stuff, we love that on the gaps. Like you can see VST is kind of chopping them up in here, so no good. But it also shows you where things are happening. So like all the biggest gainers on, on the lists, like things like NVO and whatnot. NVO is technically a gap. Now, is it on the gap list? We'll have to filter out and see. Maybe. Yep, there it is. So you can see it's pretty much right at the bottom. I was sorting it the opposite I normally do. You can see NVO is right up there, Rocket Lab, ASTS. So as the rest of the day goes on, signals in these strong, really aggressive buying names that we see, the signals will be more powerful. So notice this. This 5-minute hammer signal, after NVO gaps up a ton, it's already rallied 2% on the day. This breaks, and then it goes another 2% on the day in a 5-minute signal. So the smaller time frame signals become much more powerful when volatility increases. So if you're a day trader, this is why we say, it's not one and done. It's, can I buy it here and here and here and here and here and have like 10 entries into this, and then close it all at the end of the day or right now and just leave, right? Get a nice big trade and leave. But we have the scanners. We can find those earnings, those gappers. Again, like we showed with GD, we can identify when there's aggressive buying by price and time. All these time frames agreed on direction with reversals. So we can just buy where it should work every time. Now, it doesn't work every time, but we have reason to believe it should. So if we go 2 down, 2 up with full time frame continuity, this was a 60. Oh, we just opened the new 60s. So we're going to have to scan back here. 2 down, 2 up. Select all. Looks like we're not going to be able to get them. But if we go back to the previous one here, 303 2 down, 2 up reversals occurred. Right? If we look at this, not everyone's a winner, right? You can see so there's some losers in here because threes happen. But these would be your strongest names on the day, not on the 60, but on the day. This is the daily open. So you see TEM, now still inside day, right? But we can look at those, and the cool thing we can do is this. So we can go inside bar on the strongest things on the day. We'll actually use the previous inside bar, as long as this is updated. And let's see if there's anything going on. So you see FLNC 3, 2, 1, 2 with a RevStrat 30 into long green bars. Look at this thing. Yearly. Look at this yearly. 2, 2. It's a mother bar reclaim. So you can see we have this mother bar, which gives us $36. It's trading 27. It's pretty neat. A lot of nobodies on that list. RYN. And why are my time frames all messed up? Weekday, 60, 30, 15. All right. You can see RYN on the day, bright green. This RevStrat 60 kicks in, or actually double inside 60 kicks in into the really green day, into the inside month signal. This inside week signal last week, they killed it. And you'll see how that 2230 also did all that. Pretty neat. Yeah, so if you're wondering what this stream is, every week we have, I think it's 6 live streams a week, not including if I do a weekend one. But Sarah takes Monday, I trade Tuesdays, and then Wednesday Sarah takes, Thursday I take, and Friday I take. So we alternate. Sometimes, things are really busy. Sometimes we're both on because there's a lot to track. The more traders we have, the better we all get, because if we can agree full time from continuity plus signals is a good thing, the more of those signals and the more eyes we have on those signals and this data, the better we're going to be. In terms of scanning, is it going up or down? And I want the one that's going up the most. That's really all that matters to me. It could be a crypto, it could be a stock, it could be bonds. It can even be things like the African ETF, AFK. We alerted this one on Twitter, a good while ago. It's like $18. It goes to 28. It's like, it's Africa. We'll trade that too. It really doesn't matter. What matters is price moving, and is it liquid enough where if you're wrong, you're not going to lose everything. If you're going to trade ES, the problem with trading futures is it's trickier because futures consolidate all the time. Like when we look at SPY, it spent the whole morning consolidating, and then there was 2 hours it moved. Then this morning, they tested both sides, and now they're consolidating right in the middle. So there's a lot of choppiness going on. Doesn't mean you can't trade them, but it makes it more tricky. So if you're going to trade futures, what you should be doing is looking at all 4 of them. Because like today, if we look at low of day, like what caused that on SPY? The hammer on SPY, the hammer on QQQ. You see the 2 down green on Dow Jones. IWM, the 2 down hammer, right? So all of these had the signal at the same time. That's the most key thing for futures. Outside of that, you can't really get much more data besides sectors. So do you have criteria for liquidity, number of daily shares? At least enough, like 500K. Like volume is not relevant to how far price is going to move. At least it's not a direct correlation. So really the volume does not matter for price purposes. It only matters for liquidity purposes. So if I'm only playing like 2 options contracts, those options don't have to have much volume. But if I'm playing 100 options contracts, then there better be some good spreads there and some good volume, or else there's no reason to go in. And rarely am I buying like 100 contracts at a time. Although, I've done it before on things like Bank of America. Look at this morning. 3, 1, 2, boom, gone. Boom, gone. Boom, shakalaka. Look at this 60. So remember on XLF when we said there's an inside 60 here? What was that going to do? 2 up day. So this inside 60 XLF gives you Bank of America inside 60. Citigroup 260. And you can see how Citigroup, this 60 2 up, 2 down, 2 up. Although it could have rev stratted, it reconfirmed the upside with this 60 minute at 118.34. So up they went. JP Morgan, this 60 right here, bam. That's a pretty good one. What about Wells Fargo? Not so much, right? 1 1 2. What about Morgan Stanley? Not so much. 1 1, then 1 penny higher, but didn't go anywhere. You are new to the strat and love this. That's awesome. So what I would say is, as it's still new and exciting, just like fire hose it in the sense of you want to know everything on this. Not every reversal. You don't have to be able to do every one, but at least the 2-2 reversal or the 3-1-2, but at least the 2-2 reversal and the rev strat. I really like those would be the 2 ones I would suggest. Go and just try and understand what's going on here, because this whole sheet teaches you what's happening. You just have to study it. Like if we go in here, you can see the levels of reclaim, what that will look like on a lower time frame. You can see how the broadening formation plays out, where we want to time the signals, where the targets will be, and how that would look on a bigger time frame. And we can copy this over like this. But this whole sheet, and if you don't have it, I did post it on Twitter. I copied and pasted that link. Just 1 second, I'll get it again for you. What would you say to practice the most? Well, the thing is most people can't trade because they lose all their money. So the best thing to do is like get in the gym and practice. It's not to go and hop in the ring with, Conor McGregor day one. So if you have like $5,000 or 10,000 or 1,000, whatever you have, when you take a trade, I want you to like think. So if I have 10, 1, 2, 3, $10,000, if I can use 10-cent stops on liquid names that are, $500 big, how much, if I wanted to risk, like, let's say we have $10,000 and we want to be able to take 10,000 trades to learn how to trade, right? That would be like, if I told you, once you've taken 10,000 trades, you'll be able to trade and you'll make money consistently. Would you agree to that? Yes or no? Like, that's a question you have to answer. Let's just say you take 10,000 or 1,000 trades, right? That's how much you want. So if you have 10 grand, you divide it by 1,000 trades, which is obviously it's going to be 10. You can risk $10 a trade and you can take 1,000 trades. If you lose every single one, you can take 1,000 trades. So when you're learning, you have to think this $10, it's not to make you a millionaire. It's to teach you how to not lose all your money first. Because if you can go in and when you're wrong, you lose $1, $2, $3, you can take 60 trades and monitor them and learn what's happening. But if you go in, you're risking 25% of your account, you lose 4 trades and you're out of the game. So very tight stops and then focus on one specific pattern. I would say you like the inside bar, it's really good, or the 2-2 reversal. The inside bar is a little trickier as price will go both ways from this. But that's what makes it fun too, because you know when it, like Palantir this morning, we know when it's trying to go the other way. This, boom. The second that goes red, boom. And then here's the 60 here. If you wanted to short more, it's destroyed, right? The second it went red there, they're destroyed 4% in one day. So that's what happens after inside bars. But it also could have just broken this and never came back. So it's not like there's no risk, but we understand what's happening. So if we're in a losing trade, we just get out. Which looked like if we bought it here and it flipped red, get the heck out of the way, right? You're not holding that. So either the inside bars or the 2-2 reversals, but I really like those rev strats, those inside bars. And then the other thing is do it into continuity. It takes one button click if you have our scanner. Like if I want things that are 1, 2 down, and then green on the day, here they are. Anything green on the day is above its daily open. Here's everything 1, 2 down green. We can take that list and we can say, I only want it to have full time frame continuity. Boom. This increases the odds of all of these from probable to almost certain that these would work, at least in our eyes. So much like Palantir, PPTA, 1, 2 down. The second that goes green, it's going to show up right on this list. The second it's 1 penny above its daily open. So we can quickly find exactly what we want to look for, but you have to choose one. If you don't know what you're looking for, you can't find it, and you're definitely not finding it quick. So hopefully that makes sense. So Palantir, you see the day causing the weekly signal. So 166.35 is your weekly break. And you'll see we have entry, we have target. So this is the weekly signal. Palantir caused, like we said this morning, it could be caused by this inside day rev strat, which it was. Takes the highs, boom, takes the lows, triggers the week. Now it's got to stay down, right? Now if we go back to SPY is still inside 60, Qs broke down, Dow inside 60, IWM inside 60. So market's consolidating. That all being said, though, again, check us out, stratalerts.ai. We do have a free part of our Discord if you're not in there. You just go to stratalerts.ai and it's a start here free button. We send you the strat course, or at least a bit of the strat course, I believe. We also send you the Discord invite link, and you'll get, if we have events or live streams going on that are public, just like this one, you can get more information there. And hopefully you guys enjoy that. Outside of that, if you want to check out any of the things we have, that'll be at the top of the website. Go check us out. But that's all I have for you guys today. The rest of the day, like we said, you want to be on things that are going. So if we just look at the top of this list, these things that are going, top of this list, this is where we'd prefer to be. Now, if we want to play the gaps, here's the gappers. You can just screenshot this. go look for 30 and 60-minute reversals from the cheat sheet in here, any of these, and just watch what happens. You don't have to trade them. Just go and learn. That's the beauty of it. Adios, guys. I'll see you in the next live stream, and I hope you have a great rest of your night/weekend. Adios.